And Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapter, Nixon producing the show. Day off yesterday. No, we didn't get fired like someone tweeted at us yesterday. No, we're back. We told you on Friday, if you were listening at all, that we weren't going to be on the show yesterday. Getting ready for football season. Spoiler, next Monday we also won't be on the show. Thanks to Dusty, though, for filling in. Appreciate that.
Both days?
I think he's filling in next Monday as well.
I'm going to try to get fired on Friday and then rehired by Tuesday. By the end of Friday.
I
want to get fired right after the show on Friday.
Okay.
And then get rehired by Tuesday. I'll just be fired for that one Monday.
Just for the Monday.
Yeah.
That we already told people we have off.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, I mean, you can be fired on your day off. I don't know if anyone's told you.
Yeah, but you would.
You ever been fired? Or just downsized or whatever the hell they call it?
We've talked about this. The station went away.
Yeah, I don't think that qualifies as fired, but you definitely lost your job, so...
Well, it's definitely not fired. It's not. It is just the position doesn't exist anymore.
That sounds complicated.
Uh-huh.
I feel like you got to find a shorter way to put it. Like fired is so clear.
Kinda,
downsized. I think downside. It's kind of like downside.
Yeah, like almost like a layoff, but not really a layoff. I don't know. Anyway,
No, layoff's probably the right word.
something like that.
Your position no longer exists. That's pretty much what a layoff is, right? Either way. Drew, have you ever been fired?
No, I've been laid off. Because a similar situation happened at the last place that I was. Alex was your job is no longer there. It's gone. As a result, you are laid off, I guess. That's how it goes.
There's only a couple times in my life I thought maybe I'd get fired. But I kept my job, so I guess hooray.
So we're back the rest of the week, promise. And then Monday of next week we'll be off again and then ready to go. Someone says designated for assignment. No, that's the position still exists. They just don't want you doing it anymore when you're designated for assignment. So it's a little bit different.
Yeah, I think so. DFA would imply.
Someone says furloughed. No, not furloughed, because that means potentially your job could come back. No,
it definitely didn't come back, and it wasn't coming back.
No, nothing like that. Anyway, appreciate Dusty filling in. You guys can hit us up on the J Southland Tow Service text line 913-586-7610. Even though we missed on Monday, and last time we talked on Friday, we were wondering, would we get closer and closer to seeing Chris Jones land in Kansas City? Well, the same result. Here we are on the 22nd. We know the regular season is September 7th, and there's still no Chris Jones. The clock is really starting to tick now, though. Right, we're heading into the final preseason game this weekend when the Chiefs take on the Browns at Arrowhead. And you're just really only have a couple more practices that are technically under the camp umbrella, and then it's game week type practices. That's next week. We have mentioned a couple times, like, how many days out does he need to show up to be effective and on the field week one? And I believe we were both in the same 10 to 12 day range. We're not quite there yet, but 2 weeks from Thursday is the game, correct?
When you consider the number of practices remaining, we are definitively in that window. He can only really miss 3 full practices. It's not really important that you know exactly how the Chiefs' schedules work, but they got other things going on. That means there'll be no practices after this. Started camp earlier, a little more downtime. Andy is good about giving his players those downtime. So there's really just a couple left, including the one today in oppressively hot weather.
Oh, man.
That's why they started at like 8:15 this morning outside because their indoor facility doesn't have air conditioning.
How is that possible?
A lot of warehousey buildings don't.
It's not a warehouse. You got players making millions of dollars. You're the Chiefs.
It's expensive to put air conditioning in buildings of that size. It's very expensive.
They are the Kansas City Chiefs. Get some AC in the indoor practice facility. That's all I'm saying.
It's not usually this hot.
Also, if I'm Chris Jones, by the way, I wouldn't pick today to start showing up. Are you kidding me?
God, no.
I'm waiting until the tips cooled out a little bit. I didn't want to. If I were him, I wouldn't want to go to St. Joe, and I'd wait. So I get it. You know, just show up next Monday or Tuesday, please.
Like, to me, he is at the breaking point now. I told you I was really keeping an eye on the 2 weeks out, as in I thought, hey, full week of practice and full week of, like, game week. Well, now I'm looking at the practice schedule. It's not even that. He shows up on Thursday, he might get 2 practices, and then it's game week, and he has to be ready. Look, Turk Wharton was back at practice today, but Karlaftis missed.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like with each little ticky-tack injury on the defensive line, you get even more panicked that you're like, oh, please, Chris Jones, do not miss a game. And I know you don't think he will. I still don't think he will. But we don't even have the just like random NFL reporter rumor that's like, don't worry, Chris Jones plans to be there for week one. We're at least getting that with Jacobs or getting that with Bosa to the point where you'd be like, They're planning on maybe seeing him. I know it's not an answer. It's vague, but I would like at least that report out of Chris Jones.
I guess, but I think the reason why you're hearing it more for the other guys is because their situation's different. Josh Jacobs is not under contract. He has to sign the franchise tag.
I know.
So that's why the reports are necessary of like, oh, no, he's going to show up by the time it gets ready for the start of week 1 of the season. Chris Jones is under contract. So to me, there's no debate or dilemma in my mind of, is he going to show up and play games this year? And
you sure? Because you didn't think he was going to miss training camp and take $2 million in fines, and he did that.
No, and neither did you, by the way. But when it comes to the...
But I think there's a chance he might miss week 1.
That'd be the dumbest decision he can make.
Why?
Because
he's trying to make a point.
What's the point at that point, Cody? Like,
to
seriously.
pay him his money.
So you think that the Chiefs, he's going to sit out week 1, lose more money in a final contract year that could get him paid somewhere else or with the Chiefs long term, that he's going to miss that particular game, that he's just going to say, you know what, I'm good, and that the Chiefs are going to say, you know what, all this time we've been talking, but you missed the Lions game, now we'll actually give you what you want. I don't believe so. I think it has to happen before week 1. And so, therefore, if he doesn't play week 1, it's because he didn't show up until 3 days before, and he's just not in game shape and out of shape and not ready. That would be, to me, why he doesn't play week 1. And that part maybe is true. But, like, sitting out and thinking it will lead to a contract once the season starts, I don't think so, man. I don't think so at all, because he has to still have a good year this year. If he doesn't get a contract extension with the Chiefs before the season, he can't play in 7 games and have 2 sacks and think he's getting the contract. We all recognize he's going to have a big season. He'll have a ton to play for. It'll be a contract year again if he doesn't get his new deal.
But sitting out 1 game does not mean he can't play 16. You know, like, he can still make his point to both the Chiefs and to any other team that is looking
I think
to
the point
sign
has
him.
been made.
Well, I mean, you might think that, but then why isn't he here today? If the point's already been made. He could have showed up a week ago. The point was made.
Because it's still camp practices.
I mean, not really. Not at this point.
It falls under the camp umbrella, I think, or whatever. It's not game week
technically starting. It's not game week, but it's also not. It's like it's in a weird in between, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, technically, camp has broken. They are done with camp. They are not in St. Joe. Camp is over. They are now in just the
we'll just call it
regular practice. Yeah, the regular practice preseason part of the schedule.
Yeah.
But the point was made 2 weeks ago, a week ago, when he passed $1 million in fines. He'd made his point. He wasn't still showing up. I know you'd be like, well, he's just waiting for the heat to go away.
But he hasn't. But the point is, he hasn't missed anything though, like to where it actually is impacting how you think he's going to perform this season, right? Like, if he shows up next Tuesday, none of us are going to think that, oh man, he's going to have a bad season because he's not ready to go.
I don't think he would because he missed 1 week of the regular season.
Start missing week 1. I would start having doubts about how effective he would be. Absolutely, I would at that point. You would miss a regular season NFL game, and I would start wondering whether or not you're in game shape.
I mean, I'll worry about it for week 1 no matter what, pretty much, starting about, Saturday or whatever we get to. Once they get to their final preseason game and they got like a week and a half before they play a regular season game, I'll have some questions about whether or not he'll be the normal amount of player that he has been. I'm just surprised there still has been 0 public movement. I'll say this. They are very good at keeping these things close to the vest. Because it's not like there's been a bunch of stuff swirling. Every once in a while, our guy Nate Taylor will get a slight glimpse into what's going on, or we'll hear that maybe he wants Aaron Donald money. But Chris Jones has been very quiet about it. His agents have been relatively quiet about it. Andy, the closest Andy's gotten is just sounding a little perturbed at the idea that, he's annoyed. Which is, I mean, I get it. It's because he never misses under any circumstance. But here's the other thing, Andy. They pay you whatever you want. Because there is no salary cap for head coaches. You walk in there tomorrow and you tell Clark you want 15, he just pays you it. Because it doesn't matter what he pays you. Like, your number doesn't hurt. I mean, it does matter from you have to pay the person that amount of money. But at this point, Andy'd be worth any amount he asked of Clark, right?
Oh, I've told you my take here on Chris Jones is not that I don't think he has the right to get the type of money that he wants, and this is the business end. This is the part where he has leverage. The conversation, though, is that at what point is it beneficial still to sit out? At what point does it impact your future earnings? And I'm just saying, missing week 1 of the season to me would be a very foolish decision by Chris Jones. What he's done so far is part of the game. It's part of business. It's part of the leverage. It's the few times in your career that you have it. He's taken advantage of it. I just think he would be hurting his future earnings by not showing up in time to play week 1. That's all I'm saying.
I don't think I don't think 1 week would hurt his future earnings. Maybe that's just because I think in the end he would still, like, to me, if like he played bad for like 3 weeks, let's say because he missed week 1 and what you're saying happens, right? He's out of shape. plays poorly for 3 weeks, so a month into the season didn't play well. And then he plays like normal Chris Jones for the final 13. I still think someone's going to pay him handsomely, and they will excuse away that month of the season to the man wasn't playing, right? He just wasn't on the field. He wasn't playing. So what?
You'll have a lot of pissed off Chiefs fans if he's what you're saying, which is rusty for the first 3 weeks, knowing that he was still under contract. And it's one thing not show up to camp and stuff, but if you're not ready to play in the regular season, I mean, Chiefs fans would have every right to be pissed off at that point.
Yeah, but I don't think his teammates. But I don't think his teammates would be, because most of these guys are going to be in a similar situation at some point in their career. Not all of them are going to be able to hold out, but they're all in the same boat of give that man as much money as he wants, because when it's my turn, I'm going to want as much money as he wants. Like, I get you don't want fans against you, but I mean, I don't think his team's going to care, I guess is the point. Which I don't think he's going to walk into like a hostile locker room.
Not teammates. I'm just saying the organization.
Well, yeah, but I mean, if they're not going to pay him, they're not going to pay him. I don't know if him sitting out a game.
We're both on the same page, right? If they don't get it done though before the season or the week 1 or whatever, he's gone next year.
Yeah, I mean,
because why would you if you couldn't get that now? Why do I think? Let's say he goes out and does have another double-digit sack season. Why would you feel more confident to get a deal done he's a year older as well? It wouldn't make any sense.
Well, I don't think you're going to match what the truly open free agent market for Chris Jones would look like, so that's out.
And the tag doesn't make sense financially.
Not really. Not because of the amount of money you'd have to owe him. You would have to be guaranteed he signs an extension, and you can't be because of what just happened this offseason. So, no, I don't think he's back with the Chiefs if he makes it to week 1 without a contract, which means we've got 2 weeks and 2 days for Chris Jones to sign a contract extension, or he's probably not with the Chiefs long term.
We'll talk more about this with Nate Taylor. Nate Taylor from The Athletic going to join us in studio in the 1 o'clock hour. We'll start our weekly visits with Nate in studio. Really enjoyed those last football season, so Nate will start that back up beginning today. I'm sure we'll talk about another guy that's been impressive here during preseason, though, and that's Rashee Rice. And Rashee Rice, heading into the second preseason game, we asked, hey, who do you want to continue to keep an eye on after a really strong first preseason game? Nice week of practice, getting first-team reps, and then he certainly goes out against the Cardinals and has an even better preseason performance. And I think it's very, very clear they being the coaching staff and Mahomes, trust Rashee Rice far more than they did at this point last season with Sky Moore.
I don't think Sky Moore at all.
I don't think it's close. And Sky Moore has been open and admitted that he didn't know some of the pre-snap, assignments, if you will, last season, and now it looks like he has that under wrap, which hopefully is a good thing. But Rashee Rice is ahead of him in his career, just in terms of timeline, because of that. Like they're lining him up with the ones. He's also a really effective blocker, which is something that'll get you on the field too as a wide receiver. We know how much they have valued that, and it brought up comparisons from Patrick Mahomes to Sammy Watkins. And Sammy Watkins, we all know, when he was healthy, right, was a very effective blocker as well, and obviously a very good possession type receiver for this team. It's funny to me to hear the Sammy Watkins comparison to Rashee Rice, because I don't disagree with it, but wasn't last year Juju Smith-Schuster compared to Sammy Watkins? Like, oh, he can be Sammy Watkins. Didn't that happen? Didn't 3 months ago Patrick Mahomes say, yeah, we think Rashee Rice can fill the Juju Smith-Schuster role? So we'll just say he can be Juju. Why are we comparing him to Sammy Watkins? That was like 3 years ago, and he was hurt.
Yeah,
I don't want. To me, he can be Juju Smith-Schuster. He can be that role. That's the most recent.
I don't really. That is the more apt, more recent comparison. But to me, those players filled a similar role, so I get it, right?
Yeah.
Maybe he moves more like Sammy Watkins, or maybe that. I've told you before. Be very careful in Patrick Mahomes' evaluation of wide receivers when he gushes about them. He's never said a negative thing about a single wide receiver ever. And he has said things like, wow, Josh Gordon, height, look at him, never seen anything like it. He has said things like that, and it didn't exactly equate to something important. Rice does look significantly more comfortable. And I think what's important is to, again, still keep reasonable expectations, though. Because what we would have said about Sky Moore his rookie year when we were in love with him coming out of preseason, and everybody, including guys like Peter King, were writing articles about Sky Moore, this rookie wide receiver who's impressing in Chiefs camp, which is the same thing we're hearing about Rashee Rice. Ended up in a 250-yard wide receiver, but our expectations were 5 to 550. That's what McColl got his rookie year. That's what I want out of Rashee Rice. 500 to 550 yards out of Rashee Rice should be the new expectations. I had lowered it because of Sky Moore.
Yeah.
It was his fault that I had taken it lower than that, and now I'm back to reasonable expectations for him. I'm very happy with the progress he's made, because if they've got guys like that, this whole wide receiver by committee thing works significantly better.
I'm trying to decide if I should alter what the expectation is for Rice, because you said 550 or so. Before the camp started, I thought Rice could be like a 300 to 350-yard guy. And you're right, last year at camp, we got excited about Sky Moore. The difference is, I think we've already seen, though, that they trust him more. That last year, the excitement was like the pure athleticism that we saw every day from Sky Moore in camp. Like, how the heck is this guy not going to have a big rookie season? Rashee Rice, we see the athleticism, right? He quickly gets up the field. He can kind of make himself, skinny, if you will, in between the tackles. That is a plus, but also I just think how much they're utilizing him even in the preseason, and hearing how Mahomes talks about him. I just think he knows what the hell he's doing more than Sky Moore did a year ago at this point in time. And that's a big asset. So I'm trying to balance like the hype and what we're seeing. I think I will have to go north of the 300-yard prediction that I did at camp.
That's way too low for
I think it's going to be 450 to 500 is what I would put, but maybe some more touchdowns. Like, I don't think Rashee Rice suddenly is going to have a 700-yard rookie season because of, as you just mentioned, the depth that exists. It's not the best wide receiver, top of the order, if you will, but the actual depth in the wide receiver room is the best depth the Chiefs have had under Patrick Mahomes.
I'll say that like this applied to when they drafted Rashee Rice, and I still think this is the case. There's reasonable expectations, and then there's things that I think we try to like soften the blow for no reason. 300 yards would be a bad year out of Rashee Rice. Out of your second round pick, you spend a second round pick on a wide receiver, you should be trying to get more than 300 yards out of him. That's just low. They got more than that out of McCole Hardman, who is a below league average wide receiver. Tyreek Hill's a superstar, so they obviously got way more. They got about that out of him. Got 450, 500 yards out of his rookie year. And for all the, like, Andy doesn't let rookie wide receivers, I can give you tons of examples of 500-yard wide receivers that are rookies under Andy Reid. They just don't turn into 1,000-yard guys.
Yeah, this is what Andy had to say, though, about the back end of that wide receiver group and the competition that exists there.
They're competing like crazy. You keep 6 or 7 of those guys, so that 6 and 7 spot is going to be, a pretty good battle. But we'll see how it all winds down there, as we go. But it's open. It's wide open.
So that's the first time we've heard Andy say like 6 or 7 wide receivers. 6 is a no-brainer. They're definitely
He's never kept 7, which is important.
They're definitely keeping 6 based off of the names and what you've seen. 7, whew. I mean, look, no fullback this year. That's different. That's an extra roster spot. Jody Fortson's not around, so will they actually keep 4 tight ends? That's the big question we don't know about. Will they actually keep 4? Will they just go with Kelsey, Blake Bell, and Noah Gray?
Will they add Matt Bushman to the mix?
Personally, I don't think they need to keep 4. Now, Jody Fortson's done for the entire season, so there's no, hey, we can have 3 and then Jody comes back another roster. He's, based on his Instagram, he's done for the season because you can return from IR, but he's made it seem like on social that no, he's done. 7 receivers. Do they need to keep 7? Who's the 7th? Like, I know Marsette's been awfully impressive and good for him. He probably earns himself a job somewhere else based on what he's done. He was the highest graded receiver week 2 of Pro Football Focus preseason.
Yeah, but that's the Therese Fountain stuff,
right?
And I get it. I'm telling you, don't get excited about Rashee Rice's good preseason, or get excited about Rashee Rice, but don't get excited about Smith Marset. The noted things.
Well, we know why.
I understand why, but But it is just like they're both performing in preseason football games.
Sure.
It was notable, though, because Rashee Rice was out there for the very first snaps with the ones, and he was in practice this previous week because they're trying to do it. I'm assuming they will keep 6. He's never kept 7 wide receivers.
You just don't need to keep 7. I'm sorry.
And guys, in terms of the role that Rashee Rice has, do you guys see him as a slot guy, as a reliable weapon, as one that Patrick Mahomes can go to on a 3rd and 5 where you need to run a dig route or an in, and he trusts him to get open and be where he needs to be? Is that the type of, not rack up the yards, but he will be in the game in big moments because he knows where he needs to be, and he can be that reliable wide receiver.
Yeah, who does that sound like?
Juju.
Sounds like Juju Smith-Schuster. Yeah,
sounds like Watkins when he's on the field too. To that point, sounds like Juju.
That's kind of what we were discussing. Now Juju ended up coming up about 70 yards short of 1,000 yards, and he actually had more yards after the catch than people realized. He ranked towards the top of the league in yards after the catch for receivers last year, which is not something you would expect. But I think the comparison directly is, and what you're saying, Drew, what can he be? Can he be a 3rd down option if Kelsey is not available in that particular instance? Can Juju Smith-Schuster, now Rashee Rice, be the guy that you can rely on to make a catch in traffic? Because that's the thing, too. You need a guy for those sometimes that can be able to catch the ball and contest the catches.
He's got to not make the drops.
He had some drop problems that he had in college, but he also had, I think 16 or 17 different contested catches in college's final season. So that's where I think he can be beneficial.
By the way, if we don't think they're keeping 7 wide receivers, that means no Justin Ross. Tony, MVS, Sky Moore, Justin Watson, Richie James, Rashee Rice, and Justin Ross is number 7.
Is he 7?
He's 7, not Amir Smith Marset.
It depends if Tony is actually, if they surprise us and Tony suddenly isn't available week 1 and they decide to do some roster manipulation. There's you know what I'm saying? Like if they've been honest the whole time, then you're correct. The only scenario I could think of where they wouldn't have to do that is if suddenly you find out, well, actually, this knee thing taking longer, and then he's not available the first 4 to 6 weeks or whatever. That's not where it looks like it's heading, but that would be the only way. Otherwise,
I think they're probably keeping 7.
That's wild.
Would they keep Justin Ross almost to protect him from going? Like they like him, but
Ross is making the team, right? We all agree that's not even a question. So I guess it is 7 then.
I've got a different. I've got an outside a Chiefs comparison, I guess, for you with Rashee Rice. So we talk about the reliability. We talk about somebody who is trustworthy, who can make those contested catches. I think Tyler Boyd is a good example. If Rashee Rice can get beyond the drops, Tyler Boyd had 1 drop last year on 58 catches, 80 targets, 1 drop. So I think if Rashee Rice can be that guy who on 3rd down can stretch the field a little bit and not just, okay, they're going to Kelsey because he's the best tight end in the league, maybe one of the best receivers, period, in the league. Rashee Rice provides that option for them to, have somebody else and maybe allows Kelsey to get a little bit more open or less attention drawn to him. I think there's a way that can work where he can be that reliable guy to make those contested catches and, provide another weapon for Mahomes that's reliable more than anything else.
I would take Tyler Boyd's rookie year, 54 catches, 603 yards, only 1 touchdown, but you'd still sign up for that, right? You'd lock that in.
I would be surprised. I'd be surprised if he had 600 yards and only 1 touchdown, right? I mean, if he had that kind of yardage, I would be surprised.
Well, they didn't have nearly as many people to throw to back in 2016 in Cincinnati.
Joe Burrow was not there. Yeah, there's some discrepancy
Correct.
there. But in general,
they also had less people to throw to. Jamar Chase also wasn't there. They're just
so it's a little bit different. But yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, I think what it really comes down to, can he eventually be like your 3rd most reliable option in the offense? I don't know if that'll be the answer his rookie year. Maybe that's where he projects long term. Can Rashee Rice be a number 2, number 3 for you long term? I don't know if this year we're going to sit here and say he's the 3rd option in the receiving game, which Tyler Boyd
was that year. I looked it up. AJ Green led the team.
And AJ Green.
AJ Green.
Marvin Jones Jr. probably.
Brandon LaFell was actually the 2nd leading receiver that year.
Well, and then that's to my point, I think, or my question for you guys is you got Kadarius Toney, you got MVS. Those guys can do what they do, obviously. Rashee Rice brings that blocking ability. Tyler Boyd for the Bengals is a blocker, reliable guy. Last year, Boyd had 762 yards and 5 touchdowns, and that's with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase as well. Of course, they don't have a tight end, didn't have a tight end who's as reliable or as good as Travis Kelce is, but I don't know if he reaches the 700 yards, but I can see him getting to that 450, maybe 500 number that you guys are talking about.
I think that should be rookie expectations for a 2nd-year wide receiver. I got to be honest. And if I broke it down by round simply, I know everything's a little bit different. I would say your expectations for rookie wide receiver in the top 15 in their rookie year is 800 yards plus. In the bottom 15 is like 600 yards plus. In the 2nd round is like 500 yards plus. And in the 3rd round after, you're just taking a shot in the dark. Those should be the expectations when you take a player at those positions with that level of a draft pick. I know.
Yeah, I don't know if you can simplify it to that. Overall, I think we're pretty close. I don't know if you could actually simplify it to where it's like, hey, 2nd round, you got to have this many yards. 3rd round, otherwise you suck. Like, I don't think we can do that. There's circumstances that are involved. There's the quarterback. There's other injuries. What's the offense already like with that issue? I think there's
in this offense, I feel like you can pretty safely,
but we've had this
the quarterback's not going to be a problem.
No, but we've had this conversation before. Like, everybody wants to compare and say, like, Sky Moore and McCole Hardman, they had less people. Like, this year, there are more bodies in front of, we thought before preseason started, more bodies in front of Rashee Rice than there were last year. Now, not actual physical bodies, but in terms of talent. Like, this is a more talented, deeper wide receiver room. Now, the top-end talent is to be determined based off of, do these guys reach their ceiling? But from a depth perspective, there are a lot. I mean, we're talking about 7 wide receivers for crying out loud. And the 7th looks like might be Justin Ross, who everybody says is going to be a number 1 wide receiver here very, very soon. So if that's the case, there's not even a question about the depth that actually exists. Someone brought up, well, could they cut Justin Watson? The contract they gave him, man, it's a $1.4 million dead cap. So unless they do some manipulating and Tony's injury is more serious than they've been leading on, then I guess they're going to have to keep 7.
There were still 4 guys ahead of McCole Hardman his rookie year from a depth chart. Sammy, Tyreek and Demarcus Robinson.
And
How many are in front of Rashee Rice?
I said from a physical standpoint, from actual bodies, yeah, but Demarcus Robinson is not as good as multiple guys we've mentioned already. Like Rashee Rice is going to be better than Demarcus Robinson. I'd rather be throwing the ball already to Rashee Rice than D-Rob. I'd rather be throwing the ball as my fourth option, potentially Richie James than Byron Pringle. With all due respect to both of those guys, it's not even close. I have a third down, and I got my top two wide receivers are out, and it's the playoffs, and I'm stuck throwing the ball to D-Rob or Byron Pringle or Rashee Rice and Richie James. I'm sorry, I can already tell you my answer. It's not even close. And that's without having Rashee Rice play a regular season game.
Yeah. I mean, I got based on...
And I also, Richie
sure.
James to me is just better anyway. Like, I already see it. Like, you can bring up his individual yardage. I would rather have Richie James on my team than Demarcus Robinson.
My instinct says yes, but I mean, yeah, I mean, the history of the first 4 years of their NFL career would suggest they are the same. Like, I understand that you just like Richie James more, but like ages 23 through 27 would say that they are shockingly similar wide receivers in talent, is all I'm saying. So to me, it's like Rashee Rice shouldn't have trouble moving up the ranks. You know, second-round wide receivers should be able to move up the ranks. They should get more trust as the season goes on. I'm excited about his season.
All right, coming up next, though, we had an update. We didn't have a chance to get to because we were off yesterday, but I think it's pretty clear who has cemented their role in a new Netflix documentary next.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
6 words that strike fear in the hearts of hospital and nursing home administrators everywhere.
Joint, commission, accreditation, protocol, and reporting.
But Keller Fire and Safety is here to snuff out the worry. Keller knows all the protocols for compliance testing and reporting. They are helping hospitals and nursing homes in the KC Metro and Northeast Kansas avoid stacks and stacks of paperwork. When you need someone on your side, keeping the Joint Commission happy, call Keller. Keller Fire and Safety. KellerFire.com.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
Paid for client portrayal and endorsement. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. Past results afford no guarantee of future results, and every case is different and must be judged on its own merits.
Hurt in the car wreck, everyone knows who to think of.
You think of Mike.
Mike's got this.
As soon as my wreck happened, I thought, Mike's got this. And his team got me $650,000.
Injured? Think of Mike.
Mike's got this.
If you've been hurt in a car wreck, call me. I've got this.
816-888-7500. Mike's got this.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Missouri or Kansas attorneys. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. CordellCordell.com.
Paid for by Cordell & Cordell.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
If this were a Reese's TV ad, you'd be staring at a Reese's peanut butter cup. And sure, my voice is peanut buttery smooth, but still, you need to see the peanut butter cups, right? No? I can really just say Reese's and you'll go get some? Okay. Reese's. 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 Really working, actually. Reese's. Reese's. I'm on to something. Reese's. Reese's. Reese's.
Missing your NFL team's out-of-market games? Not a great plan. A much better plan? Switch to My Plan from Verizon and get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and unlimited plus. That's a value of up to $449. Get every out-of-market game every Sunday afternoon. Switch to My Plan at your Verizon store today. And for a limited time, get NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV on us with eligible phone purchase and unlimited plus. It's your Verizon. $449 value applies to NFL Sunday Ticket season 23-24 only. Additional terms and embargoes apply to NFL Sunday Ticket on YouTube. No refunds.
Heart failure, carpal tunnel syndrome, shortness of breath, stomach issues, lower back pain. How does it all add up? If you have heart failure and any of those seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, it's time to talk with your cardiologist and get the full picture. They may add up to transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy. ATTR-CM is a rare and underdiagnosed disease. Recognize the signs and discuss them with your doctor soon. Learn more at connectwithyourheart.com. That's connectwithyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
The second half of the baseball season is here, and each game means a little bit more. We're talking pennant races and wild card chases, with each pitch bringing us closer to the playoffs. The free Odyssey app lets you listen to live play-by-play of your local team. So no matter what you're up to, you'll never have to miss another game. Download the free Odyssey app today and keep baseball close by all summer long. That's AUDACY. Odyssey.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage is brought to you by Renner Garage Door. Forward and back. RENNER.
Renner Garage Door, servicing and installing garage doors in KC for over 60 years. Family owned and top rated. Residential, commercial, service and repairs. RENNER. Forward and back. Renner, the company that does garage doors. RennerDoor.com.
This is not Chiefsaholic's last drive. And he believes, and we believe, that when the final whistle blows and all of the facts are known, that he is going to be redeemed in the eyes of his community, in the eyes of his fans, and in the eyes of the Chiefs' kingdom.
That's a real thing. The attorney.
I sat on Twitter and asked for a beat to go with the Chiefsaholic thing, and Drew delivered.
He did. Oh, it's so good when you see the video. That's Chiefsaholic's lawyer, because I first saw just the quote from the attorney. I'm like, this can't be.
The video's
I'm like,
way
this,
better.
I saw the quote at first over the weekend. I'm like, this can't be real. It's the actual new attorney for Chiefsaholic in his armed robbery case, federal count, 19 counts, right? I think 19 counts that he's facing. And that is a real attorney, a real clip that is representing him, and he guaranteed himself now a spot on the Netflix show. Right? That clip, and I also now think a sit-down interview with that attorney is guaranteed. There's no way you can make a documentary now about Chiefsaholic and not have that what was that? 15 seconds, 20 seconds?
Far too important.
Of the attorney. There's no way. I mean, that's parody type clips. Like, this is not his final drive. Like, are you kidding me? It's incredible. It's incredible.
And like the styling and all that, you're like. You looked in the mirror. You intentionally made yourself look like a massive dork. And then you referred to a legal client facing bank robbery charges by their Twitter handle? Oh, no. This is bad. Chiefsaholic's going away for a very, very long time. He already was. This is worse. No way. If this is your lawyer, you do not feel better.
Remember, Chiefsaholic fired his public defender before. So I don't know what the setup is here. If this attorney's doing a pro bono for him just for headlines, or I have no idea.
By the way, they are absolutely going to make a Netflix show. I can all but confirm that they're working. I mean, they're obviously going to do this.
Probably going to be 2. Probably going to be something on Netflix, something on some other platform. And I still think there should be
ESPN.
There still should be like a spin-off comedy, like over-the-top comedy.
You
about
want like
it.
a dramatization version of it?
Yeah, where it's like there's some.
It's like Tiger King. There was a Tiger King like made for TV, drama series or
a
movie.
show where the character's not named Chiefsaholic in the TV series, but it's basically about a super fan that robs banks and goes to his favorite team's games. But it's just a over-the-top comedy, not related to the Chiefs, but we all know it's based off of the Chiefsaholic story. That's what I'm thinking.
I mean, you'd have an infinite amount of casting options for his lawyer. I couldn't believe that clip. Like, I had to watch it. I'll be honest. I've watched it no short of 20 or 30, maybe even 40 times. I've watched that clip because I can't believe it.
Matthew Merriman is the name of the attorney. This was him again.
This is not Chiefsaholic's last drive. And he believes, and we believe, that when the final whistle blows and all of the facts are known, that he is going to be redeemed in the eyes of his community, in the eyes of his fans, and in the eyes of the Chiefs Kingdom.
His fans.
Who are his fans?
And Chiefs Kingdom.
Does he have fans?
Cody, you're a fan of his.
No, I'm interested in his story. And I would like a sit-down one-on-one interview with him in prison, but a fan is a stretch. I'm just interested in his story. It is, I couldn't stop thinking about this clip for a number of reasons. But I mean, the key being, where did he find this guy? And did he think having a publicity stunt lawyer would be better for him versus I don't know, just like a good one? That lawyer said that quote like he had just said, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Yeah. He thought that was as good of that line, right? Like you could see the amount of pride in what he was saying there.
I think
this won't be his final ride.
I just think it just guarantees that he makes it into whatever the Netflix or whoever is doing.
You think this is just a good business decision?
Yes.
How do we get in how can I get myself in this documentary?
You just got to hope that they have, at some point, they've put a clip, that they asked for a cut from a show or something.
From a radio show?
That's probably the farthest this thing is
I'll take that. That's like the franchise, right? They just use our voice but not our faces?
Yeah, I think that's it. Now, again, he had a public defender. He fired him. I don't know. This is complete speculation, but I don't know if somebody reached out. I can't imagine. I don't you actually think Chiefsaholic is paying this attorney? I don't.
I mean, I'm guessing they haven't found all of Chiefsaholic's money. He seems like the kind of person who would have buried some in the desert.
I don't think he's smart
enough.
That
he's playing. Are you sure?
Yeah.
He got away with it for years.
No, he didn't though.
For years he did. I'm not saying
he in the end got away from it. But not for years.
When did he start robbing these banks?
It was like in I believe it goes back to November or December of 2022.
I feel like he's been around for like 10 years.
I mean, he's clearly been sketched for many, many years. He's got a background. His family has a background. But what he's actually charged with is only December and on of 2022.
There were some other petty thefts I remember that he was accused of somewhere along the way.
Yeah, someone says I take the case pro bono. I'm guessing that's what this attorney did. I'm guessing he's taking it pro bono. He's getting his name out there. He's going to be in this Netflix documentary. There's no way you come up with that statement that he put out there without thinking it through and also realizing okay, this is extremely cheesy, but I might as well just go all in here.
Lean into it? I mean, I don't mind that for I expect that out of a commercial, right? For an attorney who's like the kind of cheesy Better Call Saul type. I don't know if I want them saying it in an actual press conference about my legal defense, right? That can't be what you want. Has this guy represented anybody else?
I want this attorney on the show. I want Drew.
You want this guy on the show?
I want this attorney on the show. I know he won't be able to answer questions specific to the case, but I want this attorney on the show.
I feel like without hesitation, he would say yes.
I mean,
just given this whole
when's the trial date? It's next year, right?
January 8th. I'm telling you right now that if they allow reporters in the building, I might take time off to cover this. I might go sit in a court of law, take notes, and then come back on this show as a guest, as a legal expert on whatever's taking place in this trial. If they'll let the public in. What are
not going to let the public in. You have to go in as media. I don't even just let the public chill and hang out.
Well, I just meant if they'll let other people in the courtroom. Do you have to get credentialed for that? How does that work? How does media work for covering? I covered in my very brief time of covering news. I did cover some virtual hearings a couple of times. I sat in on those. So I mean, is it different in the courthouse? Can you just be like, "Hi, I'd like to"? I don't.
Not sure how it works. It's a federal case, so it's different, right? Federal cases, there's difference of you're not allowed.
And judges can set a certain amount of like privacy or not privacy.
I believe it's different.
Cameras in the courtroom.
I believe federal court is different as far as cameras being allowed and taking photos of or whatever. I think it's a little bit different in a federal case. I don't know that to be 100%, but I believe that's how that goes.
Anybody else know any lawyers?
Is the case?
I do actually. But
this kind of lawyer, criminal defense?
No, but they would know the rules in federal court. I can text somebody if you would like.
Is
you
the
really
case
want an answer?
Is it a big enough deal to even be like nationally televised?
Oh, it's not gonna be.
Or in terms of televised in the area, would it actually do something?
Although I do not think a federal case can have a live like courtroom setup.
The photo on his website makes him look far more put together than that clip.
Well,
oh my God,
how old's the photo, man?
He went to UMKC. Grew up.
Oh man.
I don't know. Looks relatively recent.
Distinguished alumni.
That's where his bachelor's. His law degree is not from UMKC. His law degree is from the Lewis and Clark Law School.
Oh, okay.
So, but he did go to.
A lot
UMKC.
of people say they think it's up to the judge. We'll get confirmation on that at some point during the show. But yes, January trial. It's going to trial.
I'm reading about all this guy's information now. Matthew is a diehard Royals fan, ardent road tripper, and amateur folk artist. So, very interested in having this lawyer on the show. Beyond fascinated. Looks like he's got a contact information right on his website, Drew. So, we haven't asked you to book a guest yet. There is a very short form of request. We just send him
I'm
an
sure
email,
we're
see
the
if
only
he wants
ones.
to come on and talk about the case.
Sure, we're the first people to think of it.
What should I put as like the description or why we are looking?
Just one more
Interview
information on the
request.
case.
Interview request.
Interview request.
Yeah,
Interview request.
that's all.
Just put a little interview request. All right, real quick update though in the NFL. Some news involving one of the young, talented receivers in the NFL. According to Adam Schefter, their first-round pick out in Seattle, Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's looked really, really good in preseason, is undergoing wrist surgery today. Has a chance still to be ready for the start of the regular season. Surgery is going to determine how long he will miss. So you hurt his wrist in the preseason game against Dallas, but now there's some question whether or not one of the candidates for potentially Rookie of the Year could end up missing week 1 with a wrist injury that's requiring surgery. Jackson Smith-Njigba, number 3 wide receiver to go with Lockett and DK Metcalf out there in Seattle, has been really, really impressive so far in their preseason. We all know that was a guy that was going to go too early for the Chiefs, but you and I and most
Once
people
he started to fall, you were like giving
oh, man.
yourself a little
Oh,
bit
man.
of false hope that maybe he was going to make it a little bit further down the list. We just know that if we want a wide receiver like that, the Chiefs are going to have to trade up. They're never going to be picking low enough to get that kind of caliber of wide receiver.
Yeah.
And even where he went. And if they thought that he was worth trading up for, they would have done it like they did Trent McDuffie. Because he fell into that. Well, what range did he fall into? 17?
Wait, McDuffie or the...
And Jigba. McDuffie was like
21.
in the 20s. Yeah. I was just trying to remember how far down. Did he just make it into the teens, or did he actually make it into the 20s? Because it was
20th pick.
20th. Okay, so around that same range as Trent McDuffie. Couldn't quite make the.
But they were trying to go from 31 this year versus 28 or whatever it was.
Yeah, so I think they were more interested in going up for offensive linemen than they were wide receivers at that point. If
That's
a wide
fair.
receiver had fallen to them, I think they might have handled it differently. But the way the draft went, I think we're all content with the way they handled it.
Thinking of movement in the NFL, things get a little more interesting in Indianapolis. Drew, you just moved from Indy, as a matter of fact, and Jonathan Taylor and the situation with the owner, Jim Irsay, back and forth. And Irsay had publicly said multiple times, right, that he wasn't going to give an extension to Jonathan Taylor. Well, the latest is he's given permission to Jonathan Taylor to go seek a trade. Therefore, to find a team that is willing to give Jonathan Taylor a new contract and have the proper trade compensation back to Indianapolis. So that part is funny to me because now you're saying that you're seeking a first-round pick or a combination of picks that equal first-round value. But again, throughout the last couple weeks, all you have said publicly is basically that he's not that valuable to you. So I get it. You have to say you're seeking a first-round pick. We can get to the potential landing spots and how it could impact the Chiefs in a second, but I ultimately, maybe you guys disagree, I don't think he gets traded. Do you?
I think that this is a intentional job by Jim Irsay to prove to him that nobody wants him. I think he's trying to neg him, right? They're like in a dating situation, and he's like, let me prove to you that nobody wants you. Go find yourself a trade. And I'd be like, oh, someone's only willing to give a sixth for you? Oh, well, that's too bad. We're not going to take that. I mean, only a sixth, huh? God, that's the best you could get. And I think it'll be better than that. But
I think it's a financial issue more than even can you get the proper. You're trying to, if you're Jonathan Taylor, the whole point is because you want a new contract. So let's say the favorite, by the way, at DraftKings to land him is Miami plus 250. The Bears are the second favorite, 4-1. Ravens third at 7-1. So Miami has to give up draft pick compensation, then obviously also give him a deal that makes him one of the highest paid running backs in football. Are they willing to do that?
The only team to me the only two teams that make sense to me are two of the teams on that list, Chicago and Miami. Miami is in full-blown win now. When they stuck with Tua, and that was like their decision to go there, and they couldn't get Brady, and they did this, and then they brought in Tyreek, and they're paying, like the way their roster is structured, their window is very tight. And if your window is really tight, then you're a little more willing to just be like, well, let's bring in Jonathan Taylor, go for broke, and see if we can't just run into one. Because I think they know their window is within either this year, and I think if you're optimistic, maybe it includes next year. Because then you got to make calls on Tua, you go back to a rookie quarterback, or you bring in one other random veteran. You're kind of stuck. But Irsay screwed this whole thing up. He's done nothing but, and he screwed over Taylor. If he wanted to let him seek a trade, he should have let him seek it months ago. And he spent months telling us that if I died tomorrow, we all died, nobody would care that we existed. Right. Said running backs have no value and you shouldn't pay them. And is now asking for a first-round pick for a running back you'd have to pay? Go, what sense does that make?
Yeah, I mean, I think teams, again, want Jonathan Taylor. I just don't know if you're going to come together on a deal both that gives him what he wants financially and then also the Colts. And this is what Peter King said on the Rich Eisen show yesterday about, can they fix this, though? Because is the damage far too great now that they can't get the relationship back on track to where Jonathan Taylor can play for the Colts this season?
I mean, Jonathan Taylor obviously is really unhappy with his situation, as are many running backs in the league. And the funny thing is someone there said it's so uncharacteristic of Jonathan Taylor to not be like the mayor of the locker room. He's a great guy. Everybody loves him. Everybody in the organization loves him. But this year he came back angry. And I just think, Rich, this has all the look to me of a situation that 3-4 days before the start of the season, they're going to find a way to shuffle some money to Jonathan Taylor so that if he's not happy, at least he won't be miserable.
Hey.
Oh my God, that is like the bleakest way to put a relationship with a team.
Yeah, I mean, I still lean that he's staying in Indy. It's very difficult.
Not long term, but for this year, yeah.
Because it's August 22nd, guys. Like,
yeah,
if they were serious about trading him and giving him the opportunity to seek other options, wouldn't they have done this 3 weeks ago or 2 weeks ago when this all started? I don't think they're serious about trading him. And I also think Jonathan Taylor is probably going to find out that it's much more difficult to get the type of deal that he wants. So if I'm looking at it from the AFC perspective and from a Chiefs perspective, hey, what could a trade do if all of a sudden Jonathan Taylor ended up in Miami, or could he end up in the next favorite is the Ravens, or the Bills are 10-1? Yeah, I mean, if he was on the Bills, suddenly that becomes a little bit more interesting. I don't think him going to the Ravens changes a whole lot. I don't think Jonathan Taylor going to the Broncos, who are 7-1, changes a whole lot.
A running back to Denver, it's the old adage of lipstick on a pig. We're not getting anywhere there. Like, maybe you're a half a game better, okay, but it's not actually moving the needle. Miami is the most interesting one because Mike McDaniel and the running game, and if they had a great back to go with a really good run design.
They're rumored to get Dalvin Cook,
maybe they could keep Tua healthy, and then that offense is dangerous. That would be one of the most talented offensive groups in the league.
I think, too, with this whole running back conversation is really interesting. Jonathan Taylor obviously is one of the best running backs in the league, but at the same time, the Ravens have J.K. Dobbins, and, the Dolphins have some guys who are, it's more of a collective backfield. Are you all in to slightly upgrade? I mean, how much of a difference does it actually make? I mean, Jonathan Taylor is good, but I think also at the same time, you have to look at the way that the teams are with, like, particularly, the Dolphins, the Ravens. I think the Bills make some sense, but there's some teams who already have got a decent backfield enough where does it really make that much of a difference and put you over the hump to add a guy like Jonathan Taylor given the situation?
My thing is I'm just never paying a running back top of market. That's just, what I mean? Right. Like that's it. Jonathan Taylor, let's not forget. The guy had 1,800 yards a year ago. So he is
He's pretty good.
He's one of the best backs in the league, but he's coming off an injury, and I just, plain and simple, I don't care what back you are, I'm not paying you as a top 2 or 3 paid back in football. That's my issue. Would he increase your room? Absolutely. I just don't think this goes back to the running back value conversation. I have no issue with players complaining about it, but I also would operate the same way if I was a GM looking at how I perceive running back value. Jim Irsay may have done it in a wrong way publicly with the comments, but overall, I actually agree with him in terms of we're not going to pay you a year early. You're coming off an injury, and we're not going to pay you top of market. So I think the thought process is correct. How he went about
that and then trying to say you can be traded now is hilarious.
Maybe he was offended by the way that Jonathan Taylor came into the situation because, like Peter King said, he came and he was mad. Jim Irsay probably took him by surprise. Like, dude, what the heck is going on? Like, I don't understand this viewpoint that you got. And then Jim Irsay already has been a guy that really doesn't really pull any punches anyways.
No, he just kind of says whatever the hell he wants.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to it. Trash of the day.
Trash of the day.
This was fitting, I think, for our show in particular, because we've heard about the 6 or 7 decks and porches at Cody's house, right?
Mini decks.
Now, you've never had anybody snooping around, have you?
I don't believe so. No, at least not that I've noticed yet.
Well,
I don't want to say
this is in Georgia. It hasn't happened in Missouri yet, but maybe it could happen. This is something you need to keep an eye out for. There's a man that was arrested. He's facing a felony theft charge.
Okay.
He passed a no trespassing sign in the yard on his way to remove the wooden porch which was left on the property. This guy went and stole a full porch. Like the full wooden porch.
Imagine someone just prying
took
up
your deck,
every
man.
board.
He's going to take your deck and leave with it. That's what happened. It's a full size. This is like 8x10. Okay? I don't know how
good size deck.
I don't know how big your deck is or whatever, but
they vary in size.
But it's an 8x10 porch, and he's just flat out stole it. Literal porch pirates.
How is that even plausible? Like, I wouldn't even know what to think. If I just came home and someone had just, pried up all the boards, that amount of work makes me feel like it would almost be like, is that really worth it? Decks are expensive. I'm not going to pretend like the cost of them is not expensive if you were going to just go build one. But for real? Why
felony,
would you
man.
take an a felony?
The value of the porch, they say, $3,000.
Well, that feels inflated. I don't know. Maybe that is right. If it were brand new.
It says at one point during the investigation, deputies said the porch did reappear on the property upside down. So he returned it, didn't put it back, but
this is the most drug behavior I've ever heard. I mean, there's
Are you just saying that because of the mugshot or what?
No, just think about if I just said, hey, do you think a person was on drugs? Here's what they did. They tore up an entire porch and then rebuilt it upside down a few days later. Be like, yeah, that person was using drugs.
Give the guy an eye patch and one of those pirate hats, and you're good to go.
Yeah, it's quite the mugshot.
I think it's pretty big in prison to people look up your rap sheet to figure out what you're in jail for. Imagine explaining this, like, hey man, what are you in jail for? Oh man, I took this entire porch apart, took it for a few days. They found out I stole it, so I put it back, but I put it down upside down. So, I mean, what are you gonna do?
I think you're right, but you saying, I think you're right, but you saying, I think it's pretty popular in prison for
it's a big deal, you got to find out what people are in jail for.
I think
what is it, street cred?
Look up their card.
I think you're
the
right.
Rap sheet. I don't think they call it rap sheet. I don't remember what they call it, but they're papers. They got to look up their papers. I'm the only one who's been in jail here, so you got to take my advice for any prison.
How long were you in jail?
Few hours. 5
but
hours.
Not prison.
Maybe 4 hours.
I don't think in jail they're looking up your rap sheet. I think in prison they might.
I had the cell to myself. Oh wait. No, that time was. I'm sorry. I was trying to think about that was when we were in there. We got hit for a mailbox. It was just us. It was like me and my friends. There was nobody else in there.
Oh.
It was
I didn't know.
It's 11 o'clock.
I didn't know if you confided to your cellmate or something like that.
No. Wasn't even in there long enough really to have to use the restroom. That was pretty good.
That is the trash of the day. Coming up next at the 11 o'clock hour, we'll talk about something that hasn't happened throughout preseason, and it's a great sign for the Chiefs.
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio and the Odyssey app.
You talk on the radio. Yeah. You're a fanboy.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
When you have asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you need to call. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Look, they're one contractor, all things parking lot. It doesn't matter which things you need. asphalt paving services, those maintenance solutions, or even major concrete work, Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of it for you. Go to their website for yourself and take a look, GANNasphalt.com, or give them a call, 816-354-1214.
Luke Combs here, and I have an exclusive opportunity for you to win $500,000 with the Living Lucky with Luke Combs lottery experience. Join me in Nashville for a private concert at the iconic Ryman Auditorium. One lucky winner will win $500,000 at the end of the show. Y'all feeling lucky? Enter today.
Enter your Living Lucky with Luke Combs Scratchers tickets at MoLottery.com for a chance to win a private concert experience and a chance at $500,000. Play it forward with the Missouri Lottery and play responsibly.
When you get your home internet from Big Cable, you'll go through the 5 stages of grief over your bill. There's denial.
Okay, so my introductory rate is over, but surely they won't raise the price.
Anger.
They raised it.
Even bargaining.
Maybe if I complain, they'll give me a discount.
And sure, you could stick around for depression and acceptance to kick in. Or you can switch to T-Mobile. With T-Mobile 5G home internet, you can say goodbye to the grief of exploding bills. Because with our price lock guarantee, we won't raise your rate for internet ever. And it's just $50 a month with auto pay and eligible payment method. Plus, setup only takes 15 minutes. Get T-Mobile 5G home internet for just $50 a month. Check availability at T-Mobile.com/5G internet.
Price lock exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Qualifying credit required. Regulatory fees included in $50 price for qualified accounts, plus $5 per month without auto pay. Debit or bank account required.
School is starting and so is football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. Call or go to ShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now carry out in the Crossroads.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
Attorney Joe Cordell.
Business owners and professionals face special challenges in divorce court. In addition to everything else going on, they have to contend with allegations that they are earning more than they are, coupled with claims on their business or practice itself. Clients with assets depend on their divorce lawyer's skills in these matters, and that's why it's so important to hire someone that has those skills.
Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell and Cordell's Missouri or Kansas attorneys. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based solely upon advertisements. CordellCordell.com.
Paid for by Cordell and Cordell.
It's Wrangler season out there. Warmer days, cooler nights. Open roads, endless horizons. And you need to be ready in jeans made for the unpredictable. Wrangler, for the ride of life. Shop our newest styles today at Wrangler.com.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up. And if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
Max Motors, our team is ready to help you with all your automotive needs.
My husband and I were looking for a truck. We were told that Max Motors was the place to go. They had exactly what we were looking for and at a price that worked within our budget.
Shop 24/7 at maxmotors.com. Open late. See dealer for details.
Get in zone, AutoZone. AutoZone is more than a parts store. It's where we help you solve problems like, sorry I'm late, my battery died. And
I need a jump again.
At America's #1 battery destination, you can find the right battery at the right price with options starting at only $89.99. And we offer free battery testing and charging whenever you need it. Get the parts and help you need to get the job done right at AutoZone. Get in zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service, delivering for America. You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Win Royals tickets 1 hour prior to first pitch by listening to Vern's On Deck Show, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app.
$11 hour, Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp with you. Producer Drew. First full week, I think, with us as a show in studio and everything. Yeah.
I do the show yesterday.
First full week, he was here, though. We were working together. We were planning. We were prepping for a great football season.
Someone on the text line earlier was like, Drew's going to get really used to this, like, work 3 days, be off 4 days schedule. Someone maybe make him work a full week so he's used to it.
It won't be next week.
Wait, really?
Well, Monday we're prep. But again, I still count it as a full week. We weren't on the air yesterday, but we're still working. It's our first time we've all been in studio for a full week, though.
But he hasn't had to do like 20 hours of shows.
It's this first full go.
And then it'll be like Labor Day in a few weeks.
As a show, we went, very important stuff. We all had lunch together yesterday. It's team bonding. It's show bonding. Very, very important stuff heading into the football season.
Well, that's next
Although
week.
I'll point out, I won't say, well, I can say the place. We all had lunch at a pizza place. And Drew, you did say, man, I'm excited to try the pizza. You didn't even order the pizza, man. You ordered a ham and cheese sandwich. We went to the pizza place.
It was really, really good, though.
Was it? Okay. We went to the pizza place, and you didn't get pizza.
You only ate like a third of it. How could you say it was really, really good? Maybe Drew just eats like a bird.
What, did you say he eats like a bird?
Like a light eater, you know?
Yeah, I tend to get full quicker, I guess, than what I used to. But this is the thing with me. I will eat a meal or not quite finish it. I'll go home, then I'll immediately jump into something. And I don't know why my body does that, but it
So you're more of a snacker, right? You'd like
totally.
like 6 small meals a day rather than one big one. That's what you're telling me.
Yes.
Okay. It's good for the workout regimen, I'm to understand. The small meals. It's a healthier way to eat.
Are you a gym guy?
I'm not.
Okay.
I need just laughed at you.
I need to be, but I'm not.
Yeah, welcome to the club. welcome to the
You'll
club.
You'll fit in great here. Don't worry about that.
Yeah.
We all need to be.
No kidding. We were talking about the preseason and the performance of Rashee Rice to start the show, wide receivers a little bit, but there's one area that hasn't been talked about a lot, and it's actually a good thing, specifically the 2 new tackles. The offensive line as a unit has not allowed a single hit against Mahomes in 2 games. And I get it. It's not like he was playing 40 plays a game or anything like that, but still, haven't been concerned at all through the sample size we have with veteran Donovan Smith at left tackle, with newcomer Jawan Taylor at right tackle. You know about the interior of the offensive line. And that is, of course, the key when we talk even about the receivers. And how do you get young receivers comfortable, give them enough time to get separation and all that? Well, you have a stellar offensive line. And the very early preseason returns, man, the tackles, Donovan Smith looks healthy. That's the most important thing I've noticed. More than even Jawan Taylor at right, Donovan Smith looks healthy. And when he's healthy, other than last year, he's been a pretty damn good left tackle, and they're getting him at a really cost-efficient spot, or really at a great cost at a very expensive position, left tackle.
So I'm optimistic about it. The fact that Patrick Mahomes is like, well, I'm waiting to get that first training camp hit, but I haven't been touched in 2 games is a good thing. There's no reason to knock that down or be dismissive of the performance the offensive line has given during this time, because it has been fantastic. They were great in that Arizona game. That also is probably one of the worst defenses in the entire NFL, with one of the worst pass rushes in the entire NFL.
Should be the worst team, yeah.
So I'm not going to tell you that dominating the Arizona Cardinals in a preseason game is going to tell us the whole story about where they are from the offensive line perspective. But also, they can be the best offensive line in football. They might not be, but I think there is no argument that they are the best interior. So then when you watch them dominate like this, you're like, okay, they made Andrew Wiley work on a top 5 offensive line, upgraded. And if Donovan Smith returns to anywhere close to 2 years ago form, not 10 years ago, 2 years ago form, then they are probably the best offensive line in football. They will still have not the best tackle grouping in football, but as a unit, they look ready to go. I was worried that it was going to take a few weeks. Maybe we'd have to go through this learning process part, but right now they look rock solid.
They'll have bigger tests, Aiden Hutchinson and Joey Bosa and others very early on in the season, but you like what you're seeing so far. The other thing that is kind of noticeable, so one, you got Donovan Smith, who just looks like he's able to kind of maul the defender a little bit, and you saw him get a pancake in the first preseason game. I keep asking the question. I don't know if I saw Orlando Brown Jr. ever do that, as a matter of fact. And then Jawan Taylor on the right side, we know he's...
You just don't remember him ever pushing someone down?
We know Jawan Taylor is extremely athletic. That's a given. And that's why we, at one point, thought he would play left tackle, and I guess in the future still could. But Jawan Taylor, he's got Mahomes' snap count down perfectly. You're like, well, he should. But he's quick off the snap. And so he's able to push off, and whether it's just, hey, he takes big steps, I don't know. But he's quick. It almost looks like he's false starting. But he's not. He's just got he's quick right off the line of scrimmage as a right tackle, which I think is a major asset, obviously. But you watch it, and you're like, a couple times, man, he looks like he's jumping off false start. He's not.
Yeah, but what's funny is we've seen them, if you consistently do it the exact same way every time, it doesn't matter if it is a false start. They won't call it every time. So you can more than easily handle those things. I mean, I'm more optimistic. I already liked the chance of the offensive line. I was like, look, they could be a top 5 offensive line. They could be a top 3 or 1 offensive line. I feel better about it after 2 preseason games. I feel even more assured of that. And a lot of this always comes back to the same thing. It's why I'm not panicked about the wide receivers. Look, I can poke holes in almost every single wide receiver and tell you why you've got too much false hope. We were going over the DeMarcus Robinson numbers versus the Richie James numbers, and how technically to the first 5 years of the NFL season that they were in, DeMarcus Robinson was actually a more productive wide receiver, better circumstances, and all those things that come with it.
Andy Reid for a couple of those,
Yeah, well, he had Reid and Mahomes. Well, he had Reid for all 5. He had Mahomes for 3 of the 5.
Yeah.
And then Alex Smith for the other 2. and Richie James had Daniel Jones for 3 of them, and
run first offense.
Whoever the hell was the quarterback for the first 2 years of Richie James. Oh no, actually he did not. He had Daniel Jones for 1, and the other 4 years he spent were in San Francisco. So he had Jimmy G, and Jimmy G was hurt.
Jimmy G,
whoever was behind him, I guess.
Jimmy Beathard, Nick Mullins, or whatever, Nate Mullins, whatever his name is.
Nick Mullins. It wasn't a good situation. But they, one guy was more productive. I can poke holes in it, but the reason why I'm not worried about the offense is even if every wide receiver isn't what Chiefs fans have built them up to be, if he has all day to throw, I don't care. If the offensive line is this good, it doesn't matter who the wide receivers are. I think we saw that in the time of Tom Brady. The times he could overcome lack of talent at wide receivers are the years he made, what was the name of the Brandon Lloyd, the kid from Lee Summit or Blue Springs or wherever he played, right? Blue Springs?
I think he'll text in 5 seconds.
I think it was Blue Springs.
He'll text us.
Yeah, he will. He'll remember. Yeah. But so he made him a 1,200-yard receiver. Why? Time in the pocket. That's why the offensive line is an incredibly important thing to keep.
Of course. This is the conversation. I don't know if you watched any. I think I know the answer. Any of the preseason game last night, the Commanders and the Ravens. Actually, really entertaining game. By the way, the Ravens streak is over. People can stop talking about 24 straight preseason games. It's done. They lost. But they were talking about Eric Bieniemy as the OC, and they were discussing Sam Howell, who we all know is their new starting quarterback there in Washington. And they were going through. They're like, man, he's got these weapons, but is that offensive line going to be good enough? Now, you got questions about Sam Howell as well, but is that offensive line good enough to give Terry McLaurin, to give Jahan Dotson enough time? That's the conversation. Well, here, this offensive line should be able to give Patrick Mahomes time, and he's also better at improvising and buying himself an extra half second than any other quarterback in the league right now. And
but
so,
he's hadn't had to lately.
No. And if the tackles are an improvement based off of financially, it's going to be an improvement if they, get Donovan Smith to play even just at Orlando Brown Jr.'s level, then it's already a great thing because you're not paying him much, and Orlando Brown was probably a middle-of-the-road left tackle.
They'll be paying about as much as they paid last year because Juwan Taylor will be making Orlando Brown Jr. money, and
but your right tackle,
they'll be making Andrew Wiley money.
Your right tackle is just a massive upgrade. Credit to Andrew Wiley. He played a lot better than anybody thought. He's now got himself a nice little gig out of it with Washington. They're concerned, by the way, with his performance. He's had a rough preseason.
He also is hurt now.
Wiley got hurt last night?
Yeah, I think they said that he had gotten injured.
Oh, okay.
So he left the game, I think.
That's not good if that's the case. Terry McLaurin did leave the game last night with a little toe injury or something. But anyway, the offensive line hasn't allowed a hit against Mahomes in 2 games of preseason. Let's see what happens against the Lions and the Jags early on in the season and some of those elite pass rushers that they're going to face.
Yeah, it's hard because, I want to get excited about the fact that he pretty much had all day. He was just sitting on his own all damn. But it's Arizona. That is the worst team in football. And they properly put a beat down on them. Every single one of their units. Mahomes was perfect. Had they not dropped
all the quarterbacks,
passes,
all 3 quarterbacks.
Oh, yeah. Mahomes is, I think Gabbert had a perfect passer rating.
Rochelle, Gabbert. Mahomes joked he was the worst quarterback in the game,
Yeah. And honestly, if it weren't for the drops, he would have been nearly perfect too. Every single ball that he threw incomplete was pretty much dropped by the wide receiver at that point. So they did what you're supposed to do against bad teams. Beat them up, which makes you feel better.
We'll get back to the Chiefs here in about 10 minutes or so. In particular, an update on the health of Isaiah Pacheco, who did have that yellow non-contact jersey removed, so he can actually start taking hits. And that means
make him so happy.
Makes you feel good about week 1 of the season, and maybe even do we get a glimpse of him this weekend. We'll get to that in just a little bit. But later on today, around 2 o'clock or so, we're going to see him. The 2 stadium site renderings for the Royals options in Clay County and in Jackson County. The downtown site, the North Kansas City area site. We're going to see some actual renderings, and it'll be interesting to see the thought process with each one. Going to be 2 different looks, clearly, because you're looking at downtown and the aspect of what that entails versus maybe more of a neighborhood setup for the North Kansas City site.
I am really excited, and it was just so funny because we were talking about as it relates to Bobby Wood Jr. I'm obviously excited to see the renderings. We've joked on this show about your excitement over renderings. This is the kind you can definitely get behind. Because that generic one you've been seeing with a couple of skyscrapers behind it in Kansas City, that is AI-generated stadium rendering. It's not the actual site. Because they're down to a site, this will be the one to be this is what it will look like in that East Village location that you have been hearing about and this is what it'll look like.
Yeah, here's the cross street that it's on and all that.
I was thinking about it as it relates to Bobby Wood Jr. last night, as he hit another home run, by the way, and is barreling towards 30-30, which don't happen very often. By the way, he'll end up, if he hit home runs at this rate in the early part of the year, he'd be a 40-40 guy. An impossibly rare combination of speed and power, which is what Bobby Wood Jr. currently possesses. I was thinking about it just because we were talking about his contract. You do realize that signing Bobby Wood Jr. would be the biggest shut-up move as it relates to, hey, I'm investing in us, so you should. I'm investing in the team, so you should invest in us strategy. If you this offseason announced a 10-year, $200 million deal with Bobby Witt Jr. that bought up all those arbitration years, and you're like, okay, now I'd like this stadium. It'd be the easiest way to win over people. We said how hard that's going to be. It'd be the easiest way to win people over immediately.
Yeah, other than winning.
They can't do that.
Other than winning.
I'm saying for this year. They can't win more this year.
Other than winning games going forward, yes. Investing in the club directly and locking up a star for the next 6 to 10 years, for sure. And that contract, that would be the largest in Royals history. Yeah, that definitely would, I think, answer some of the questions people have about their commitment to investing on the field.
Don't you think that would flip a portion of the audience in doing so?
I still think, other than winning games, I think people have dug their heels in. I don't think anybody's flipping at this point. I really don't. Does it ease concerns? Maybe, but I don't think if you're someone that's been against either stadium project site, I should say.
If you're just against a new stadium,
you're not all of a sudden you know what? Now I'm switching. I guess if you're on the fence, I just don't know how many more people are on the fence anymore. You know what I mean?
Out of curiosity,
on the fence still.
I don't know. I think people. I think a lot of it is just like the false bravado of, I'll never go for this, but they'll go to the stadium, they'll vote to approve it, and they say those things more than, people on the fence. Is there anything you can see out of the North Kansas City rendering site that'll be like, okay?
I'll be honest. I'll be impressed, I'm sure, with some factors. But is there anything that will make me switch to being more pro North KC site? No, because it's the location.
But could you be more okay with the North Kansas City
maybe
site,
so.
I guess,
I think you could sell me on that still. But as far as my preference, no, downtown baseball is downtown baseball, not North Kansas City baseball. You know what I mean? So, no, I don't think.
It's near downtown, remember?
That was
the statement they had said.
So I'm sure, look, they're spending, millions of dollars on these renderings and consulting groups for all this stuff. The rendering for the North KC site is probably going to look really cool. I have no doubt. But the downtown side of things is going to look awesome. And I know what comes with having a downtown stadium.
I will say this, versus even the Kansas football ones we saw. We know whatever they put in this
just
rendering.
Don't have the lights. Just don't have them look like wheat over the baseball stadium.
I'll tell you right now, the only thing that's going to make them right is if they release both of these renderings and neither includes the bingo. That's the one. Drew, you're new here. I'm just telling you right now that if they release this rendering at 2 o'clock and there's not a fountain in it, people are going to lose their mind. Because that is a well-known aspect of Kauffman Stadium that people love.
I think they're smart enough to have that in both, right?
Do you think they'll put the crown? Do you think we'll get crown vision?
That
again?
I don't know. That might be different.
I was about to ask you that.
I don't require that. It's cool and it's unique, but I don't require it.
It doesn't have to be crown vision. It's going to be, with either site, because of just technology, it's going to be, I'm sure, a pretty giant, high-res, as good as it gets type of video board. Now, the shape of it and all that, I don't know. Fountains, though, they're not stupid, right? Both sites have to have.
Those two things is the easiest way to win people over
somewhere. Now, maybe it's not the exact setup, right? I don't know if we're going to have fountains throughout the entire outfield, but somehow you got to incorporate some fountains in the new stadium.
How about a Salvi splash fountain? He's going to get a statue one day anyway. Just put it out there and let him splash people in the outfield.
Something, man. The renderings, it'll be always interesting to see how people perceive it, and even these renderings aren't going to be 100% what it would be. There's still modifications that can occur, but this is as close as you'll get, close as we've had to actually
them telling you what they want to build
and what we know because of the sun, believe it or not, like the direction that they can face the stadiums, and so what's the actual backdrop gonna look like? Is it
right now?
Are we going to see a highway? Are we going to see a highway? Or are we going to have hotels and stuff in the backdrop of the stadium?
Unfortunately, when they built our downtown based on the site that they want to choose, it is not going to be the tallest buildings in Kansas City facing the outfield. But my guess is that's where they'd like to put the development. This whole ballpark, village, hotel stuff. Just call it a guess. That's where they're going to build all this stuff now. And look, that whole area is going to be like Crossroads has grown so much. We know that Power and Light has grown, and then now Berkeley Riverfront because of the current stadium and all this stuff. Like, all that stuff's going to start tying in really nicely into a much more desirable overall downtown, near downtown experience for people. So I know that it'll change. I am excited. Like, I do kind of want to see what their vision for both spaces are, especially, honestly, the North Kansas City site, because they've talked about that site, but I've never actually seen what's in your brain that it will look like. I kind of envision how I think they'll make it look.
Well, we know what downtown baseball looks like. We've both been.
Yeah,
all three of us have
downtown
been to
ballparks. I've been to San Francisco's and Minnesota's.
Yeah, we have a good idea.
A handful of them.
They'll make it unique to Kansas City, but like we know kind of what the feel is of a downtown baseball stadium. North KC, other than Wrigleyville, and that's unique for a variety of reasons.
It is.
I haven't been to many sites that have like a neighborhood feel to a baseball stadium. So I'm curious to see that rendering. But yes, I'm not going to see. I can promise you, no matter you're not going to convince me that the North KC location, not the render location, is better than downtown. You're just not going to convince me of that.
No, I think that, and if you're a downtown stadium person, I think it's going to be hard to convince you of that. But I am still fascinated with their plan, because if it still goes that way, I kind of want to know what it's going to look like in the North Kansas City side. Sherman was pretty honest about the team as part of these releases, where he was just like, we were like, he pretty much openly admitted that they were delusional about how good they were going to be this year, and now they're more accepting of where they are. And you're like, okay, well, you know what? I like the honesty. It's like, we thought we were better than we were. We now have a better understanding about where we are organizationally, which still is not like, I feel better about the team now than I did 2 months ago, but that's just because a lot more young hitters are playing significantly better, and they've made several moves that give me positive feelings towards the team.
Feel better for next year? I don't know. That depends on what they do in the offseason. Feel better, though, for 2025? Maybe, because one, Bobby Wood Jr. is playing like a star now. You have Garcia is now a legit piece of the future for you. And you've had Cole Reagan's acquired, as you mentioned, the move you made for Chapman. That's a promising sign going forward. Heck, even Freddie Fermin just makes you feel better if you do move Salvi in the offseason. Then, okay, now I got Fermin and Melendez as potential catching options. Like, you just seem to have a couple more options going forward. Still requires them this offseason to go and make some big-time moves again.
If you're going to feel better and better, they got to make moves.
So 2 o'clock today, rendering's going to come out for the downtown and North Kansas City Royal sites. We'll certainly talk plenty about that tomorrow on the show. I'm excited, though, to see what these look like. We're going to we'll know we'll have the exterior view. I'm just curious how much of the interior do we see? Because we mentioned the fountains. Okay, are we going to actually see, or how in depth? Are we just getting
where the suite's going to be? You want that? How detailed?
Are we getting just the outdoor site and then one snippet of the inside, or are we getting the legit? I'm guessing it's more the site. Not the.
My guess is it's the
not
site.
the. Here's the concourse. I think that's later down the road.
I
think this is the exterior of the stadium and kind of what it would look like in that site. I'd be stunned if we're getting here's what the rendering of the owners club is going to look like. I don't think we're getting that today.
This is the problem. And I know that I'm in the minority for this even being the thing, but what Angelo said, who's the Orioles owner. This is what drives me crazy about these stadium deals.
Oh, well, he's also the owner that suspended his broadcaster for. Not really doing anything wrong.
So 4 months ago, he sat in an interview with people. And he's like, I'm going to open up my books to you people, and you will see exactly what we see about where this team is. 4 months ago, he said he was going to do it. So hasn't done it, by the way. And then yesterday in an interview, once again said that if you saw our books, you'd realize that essentially we're broke and can't afford anything. We can't. $100 million contract. We couldn't possibly do that. And it's just you said 4 months ago you'd show us the books. Show us.
Oh, not related to the stadium. You're just saying when we were talking about.
No. He's just talking about just how and this is where I think people get disbelief of owners. They're going to announce some of the economic stuff today. I hope that it is positive about what kind of impact it will have in the city. That's supposed to be part of this stuff with the renderings today. So I'm interested in all of that is all I'm saying.
Back over to the Chiefs, though. Good news, Isaiah Pacheco actually can be hit at practice throughout camp. He had the yellow contact jersey on. Had the torn labrum, the hand injury. We all learned after the Super Bowl that he played in the Super Bowl with those injuries. And now they feel confident enough that he can take some hits. And that would mean, right, that he's on track for week 1. That part fits. That part makes sense. Now, could he play for the preseason game on Saturday? Drew, I know I only see the full clip, man. But what did Pacheco say? I'm not going to play the whole 3-minute cut. So Pacheco said that he thinks he could play Saturday.
He said he's good to go on Saturday if needed, essentially. And he basically feels good enough after having the non-contact jersey taken off that if he is needed, he'll be good to go. Now, whether or not Andy actually does it, given that I'm not sure.
I don't need him to play in the preseason game. Pacheco spoke about 15 or 20 minutes ago. That's why it happened when we were on the air. If I'm Andy Reid, I'm not playing Pacheco. It's great that he's at practice taking hits there. That's fine. Good enough. I do not need to see him in a preseason game. We've maintained that since camp started. No reason to shift now. I think this has all been part of the plan. We know around the 20th or so, today's the 22nd, that was kind of the timeline that was mentioned to take the non-contact jersey away from Pacheco. To me, they're right on target.
Play week 1.
They're right on target. We're good.
The second he get hit in a practice, that means I got 2.5 weeks for him to get ready to take a hit in a game. We're good. We're fine. Tony is still the mysterious one, as he has not come anywhere close. And Andy's general philosophy is if you do not practice the Wednesday before a Sunday game, it's bleak times, right? The Thursday, you're almost 90% out, and Friday, you're done. So from a Thursday game perspective, that really means we got a week and a half for Tony to step foot on an NFL football field, or that man's not going to be ready for week 1. And we don't need to entertain that possibility.
And the good thing with Pacheco is, even though he hasn't been taking contact, he's been running full steam during camp. It's not like he hasn't been on a field and he hasn't taken hits. The conditioning stuff has been there the whole time. I mean, he's been practicing from the beginning of camp.
Yeah.
It's just he couldn't take a hit yet. But he's been running, and he said it backwards, I think, on purpose, right? The whole, all gas, no brakes. He said all brakes, no gas, or whatever it was a couple weeks ago. That is how he operates. And so I am not worried about him being in game shape, because he's been working with everybody since we arrived up in St. Joe 3.5 weeks ago.
Yeah, the cardio he's square on. And I'm not worried about Pacheco's willingness to take a hit. I'm just worried about those hits and the injuries that they've caused. And, to me, the Pacheco part's always been set in stone. The more interesting part of this is whether or not Deneric Prince is going to make this roster.
Yeah, what happened
or
to
if
him?
it's going to be LaMichael Pirine.
What happened?
I don't know, man.
That's weird.
Maybe he had one bad preseason game and then showed up with the wrong attitude for a practice the next day because his trust level seemingly with the organization and the staff plummeted after that first preseason game. And I think it's way more likely now LaMichael Pirine is on this staff and not Deneric Prince.
I don't know how that can't be your conclusion now. Pirine's getting more run. He's actually, by the way, he's looked good in the preseason game. Credit to him. LaMichael Pirine. It was bizarre. I mean, I'm not saying that Prince can't still be the practice squad guy and next year in camp he's a McKinnon replacement because that's, to me, still what he could track to be. But this was kind of a stunner. We all just assumed that he was going to be that extra back. He was listed as the top punt returner for the team as well. And so that was like, oh, well, if he's the top punt returner, well, he's going to make the roster. It sure looks like he's going to be a practice squad guy. The only thing Andy said a week and a half or so ago was when he was asked about Prince and after the first preseason game, was just that he kind of his legs have been his legs tired out on him or something. That he's battling through it right now.
Nagy did the nice thing, like, oh no, he's good. He's trying hard to get better.
So it's kind of weird.
Not a good sign. If I start saying like, no, Alex is like, how's Alex's coach? Like, oh, he's doing good. He's trying hard to be better. You're like, oh, so not going great between you and Alex, huh? Like that sounds like, didn't it?
Yeah, and then like Matt Nagy spoke, right, Drew, as well. And
that's what Nagy said. Yeah,
that's what he said.
Yeah. Trying hard to get better.
Nagy said he's continuing to grow, and everybody's getting a chance to play. So it seems like everything's okay.
Pirine, man, was a pick out of from Florida from the Jets. Like they moved on from him pretty quick.
Yeah, I don't. It's all.
Clyde's making the team. That's not even a question anymore. Not even a question.
Yeah, I haven't questioned that for probably
the trade,
2 weeks.
But the trade thing is just not happening either, barring a major surprise elsewhere.
No, I'd be shocked if Clyde's not on the team. I think they're going to carry 4 running backs. They
now,
used to carry 3
Pirine
running
won't
backs.
be active. That's the thing.
No.
Yeah.
I just meant on the 53. They used to carry 3 running backs and a fullback. They'll just carry 4 running backs. Now that's a question because now all of a sudden, they're carrying 7 wide receivers. They've got roster crunches coming. They're not carrying 4 tight ends and 4 running backs and 7 wide receivers and 6 corner. Like somewhere a number is coming down, and I just got to figure out where. It might still be Pirine.
Well, that's the thing. Like, where's the surprise? Yeah, where's the surprise? Is there a random conditional 6th-round pick trade for somebody we're not thinking of? Not even mentioning Clyde, but like, is there somebody that's getting moved where they have some depth just to free up some roster spot, and that could be the route to this? Remember, there's only one cut down day. Next Tuesday? A week from today. Week from today is the only cut down day now in the NFL. When they have to get down to 53. All right, coming up next, Chiefs Red Half Hour. We'll get back into the timeline and the clock that is certainly ticking for Chris Jones and the Chiefs.
Cody and Gold.
The Disgusting Brothers.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Dispatch, this is Mindy at Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling.
Coming to terms with a dying AC unit is tough. If you need to replace your AC, visit missionphc.com to schedule your free estimate. Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. License 202909. Terms and conditions apply.
Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action than now. The app is so easy to use, and there's a wide range of betting options, including spreads, player props, over-unders, and so much more. So visit FanDuel.com/610Bob and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL and of 610 Sports Radio. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering in Kansas under an agreement with Kansas Star Casino, LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700 or visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it. The price of everything is going up, and if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
School is starting and so is football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. Call or go to ShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now carry out in the Crossroads.
When I can't sleep, my mind just races. I think about work, the kids, but I don't think about taking melatonin because I'm afraid I'll feel groggy in the morning.
ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies has an optimal dose of melatonin for no next-day grogginess, so you can fall asleep naturally and wake up feeling refreshed. ZzzQuil Pure Z's Gummies for better sleep like never before. And try Pure Z Sleep plus next-day energy with melatonin plus extended-release B vitamins.
Meet Bruce.
Hey there.
He's a busy soccer dad who's trying hard to learn the game.
Go for the end zone!
Whoops. Luckily, other things come easy, like banking with Chase. On a tip from his banker, he set up AutoSave in the Chase mobile app. So what are you saving for, Bruce?
Father-daughter soccer camp.
Smart bankers, convenient tools. One bank with the power of both. Visit chase.com/checking. Chase, make more of what's yours.
AutoSave requires a Chase checking and savings account. Chase mobile app is available for select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. JP Morgan Chase Bank, N.A. member FDIC.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, and the process is 100% online. To start your free online visit, go to 4hims.com/joy. That's FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Discover credit cards automatically double all the cash back you earn at the end of your first year. Wait, hold up. Question for the audio engineer. Is this for real?
Apparently. See terms and learn more at discover.com/match.
Sunny, very hot and humid with a high today of 100.
Weather brought to you by Express Employment Professionals. Don't go it alone in your job search. With nearly 20,000 job openings, Express Employment Professionals can help you take the next step in your career. Visit expresspros.com today.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Chiefs coverage on 610 Sports Radio is brought to you by Park & Go. Book parkandgo.com.
Tackle your airport parking needs at Park & Go. Always the best service and always the best price at bookparkandgo.com. Open 24/7 and all spots are covered. Reserve your spot today at bookparkandgo.com. Park & Go, family owned and operated.
Chiefs Kingdom. This is Mitch Holtis, and welcome into the Chiefs Red Half Hour on Cody and Gold. Every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
All right, the Chiefs Red Half Hour brought to you by Mission Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll get into a competition at a spot we didn't expect to have a competition at coming up in about 8 minutes or so. I know, it's kind of fun. It's kind of different. Didn't think it was going to happen. One thing we certainly have talked plenty of and we expected to happen, that is the continued countdown and Chris Jones watch that is going on. When does he show up in Kansas City? We know on Thursday it'll be 2 weeks from the start of the regular season for Kansas City, and there's still nothing on the Chris Jones front. Game week practices don't start until next week. So is he missing prep for the Lions per se? I guess not. But still, anytime you get closer and closer to the season, you would like to think there's a real deadline. And I still think the real deadline is not September 7th. The real deadline is within 10 days or so of September 7th of week 1 of the season.
Which means the end of this week.
Yeah. I mean, I think he needs to be available by Monday of next week.
It's funny, they have so few practices remaining before they get into game week practices that, like, maybe he'd be missing 2 by waiting an extra week. I don't know how close he's going to cut it. And I understand the frustration because what people are seeing now is they're saying, if he misses much more time, will he directly impact the team's ability to win? And there is an argument to be made that he will not be nearly as ready as he normally would be if he misses even 2 more days, 3 more days, based on the number of practices that are available, Gold. I'm not sure even. I think maybe this Thursday might be the real cutoff, not 10 days out, even though getting a full week's worth of practice, and I'm assuming he's keeping himself in some kind of shape, but there's still a difference. There's a difference between the guys that had to go out there at 9 a.m. this morning in 110 degree, feeling at least heat-wise, right? And go out there and practice and get yourself ready for these games. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Donovan Smith. He's like, all right, yep, this is official. It beats Tampa. Like,
the Heat. Oh,
this is the hottest.
Dude, I can't even imagine. I mean, just walking the dog outside for 3 minutes, you're just sweaty and disgusted. I can't imagine wearing pads and running around for 2 hours. Oh, my goodness.
I'm in a group chat with people that I went on a golf trip last year. I can't make it this year. Like, the timing just didn't work out.
Yeah.
But I'm in a group chat with them, right? So, like, somebody's taking my place for this year. I hope to go back next year. But there's 2 of them that are like, oh, yeah, I'm going out this afternoon at 1. I'm like, what's wrong with you?
To golf in the middle of the afternoon?
Like, I know you want to get some rounds in. Drew, you're a golfer. 1 in this heat? No, I'd rather quit. I'd rather they tell me I'm never allowed to golf ever again. All right, Cody, your choices are golf today at 1 o'clock or never play another round of golf for the rest of your life. I guess I'm just never playing golf again for the rest of my life.
There's
just no
buckets.
choice.
Yeah. Sweating buckets.
Oh, just be a miserable round. Maybe as the sun went down. Maybe.
I've had no problem with a player taking advantage of the little bit of leverage that they have as an NFL player. That's what Chris Jones has done.
Should do that.
But when it comes to what you said, the question of how does it start impacting this football team, I think we're very close to getting to that date. So far, he hasn't hurt the team.
You know what's weird, though? It's like they could just pay him, and then the team's not hurt either. Like, I'm sure that's his argument. Like, hey, you're hurting them just as much as I am. You could just give me my money.
The counter to that is he's under contract for this year, though. He's not a Josh Jacobs, which has no contract, and he either signs the tag or he's...
They're technically already paying him. I understand the argument. But we also know that that's not really how this works.
No, but
you only get
leverage.
these, like, 2 leverage points in your entire career, probably, where you get to... force teams to give you more money.
But the closer you get to the season, the concern level raises for me in terms of what it means for the early portion of the season for his performance. If he shows up next week, then I'm not doubting at all what he'll be week 1. I think he'll be ready to go and hopefully has a sack or 2 against Jared Goff and the Lions. If he shows up 5 days before the Lions game, then yeah, I think it has an impact on the first couple of games of the season, perhaps.
He has sent out...
Oh, boy. That's the part that's annoying fans, I think, more now, is the trolling on Twitter.
The tweet is from something called Anatomy Midtown. They're like a board outside their business. It says, if it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind.
That's a fitness center in Miami, so he's working out.
You know?
So
he's working out,
it's a fitness center in Miami.
If it's out of your hands, it deserves freedom from your mind.
There you go.
So, if you can't control if they're going to give you the money, then... you got to just accept what it is. Dude, it's just so...
Anatomy Gym, Cody. Annual passes start at $189 down in Miami. Something tells me he's getting...
Annual passes?
Something tells me he's getting a little bit up. $189... It says annual passes $189 a month.
Oh, a month? I thought you meant for the year. I was like, that's really cheap, actually.
Something tells me he's getting a little different trading, so it's a little bit more money. But yeah, so it's good news. He's at least tweeting a photo from... a gym.
He also quote tweeted someone a few days ago saying that wasn't his fake GoFundMe from Dirt Turd.
Yeah, that was weird. That was
Twitter
weird.
That said he needed a GoFundMe for the Chiefs.
That was funny though.
That's also just objectively not how paying players work. It's not that they can't physically afford to pay him the money. It's that there's these things called salary cap, and they're trying to find a way to work inside.
That's most of the time. There also are some owners in some situations where you have to put money aside, and some owners do not have the cash to actually
Clark's proven he was
put aside.
willing to do that.
They've been willing to do it since Mahomes has been around. Whether it was Mahomes, Travis Kelce, the other Chris Jones deal.
But they paid Eric Berry, and they paid other people. Justin Houston, they gave him a sizable contract. They handed out some big deals before Patrick Mahomes. They just had to hand out a big deal.
Yeah, nothing like these that they've done here recently. Because the Mahomes deal required.
At the time, compared to the league, maybe they were comparable, but not because Eric Berry was at some point one of the highest paid defensive players in the league. But yeah, it's been a long time.
So it says, how can you buy an annual pass monthly? I'm just reading you what it said.
Yeah, I was confused. I was confused by that too. You said annual pass $189, and then you said monthly. I'm like, wait, which is it?
Yeah, no, I agree, but it wasn't a misspeak on my front. It literally says how much is Anatomy Gym Miami. It says month-to-month memberships start at $255, and annual passes start at $189 a month. I'm just reading you what it said. That's how they've raised it.
Maybe you pay.
You get less if you get the annual pass. You pay up all front.
Yes.
There you go. That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
It's like $1,300 a year to go to a gym.
I mean, that's nothing for Chris Jones. He's been paying. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
He's paid like what? He's going to pay $1.5 million in fines. $1,300 for a little gym membership? Nothing. Dropping the old bucket. I'm worried about Chris Jones' ability to be ready for week 1, but I also think that they can win week 1 even if Chris Jones doesn't play at his maximum percentage. Sometimes players have off games. Sometimes players aren't as good. And from Chris Jones' perspective, I am still more understanding than most that this is his only leverage time. And I think he's doing this partially out of love, if that makes sense. I actually think he wants to be in Kansas City. He just wants them to pay him to be here, you know? I think in the long run, this is where he wants his home to be. And I think he felt like if he came back to the facility a week ago or 10 days ago, that they would have just been like, Andy wanted him to just show up, work out the entire time, and just let the chips fall where they may. But if you get hurt, if any of these things happen, then you're stuck. But this feels like the window of time where you need to maybe
no problem with him handling his business the way. Again, I will only question it if it impacts him, playing week 1 or his performance in the season. Because at that point, I also just think it's a foolish decision, not just a business decision. To me, it becomes a foolish one. Not because, the Chiefs are in the right. It's because you're under contract and you need to have a good year to go and get – you can't miss multiple games, in my opinion, and I don't think he's going to, and still go and claim next offseason that you want to be the highest paid player on defense next offseason when you let your contract negotiation right now impact your beginning. He can't go out there and have just an okay season and get the exact dollar amount. I'm not saying he won't get paid at all, but if he's not getting the number from the Chiefs now and then he misses multiple games or just doesn't have a good season, he's not going to get more money next offseason.
No, but I still think I don't know, if he's fine, like if he's still pretty good Chris Jones, he's 8 sacks and 14 games, I still think he'll get
a year paid. Older, he's not getting get paid, but he's not getting the Aaron Donald contract. If he didn't get the Aaron Donald contract now,
I think the free agency market for players as good as Chris Jones, you might still get it.
I think right now, if he was a free agent, if he was a free agent and you gave all 32 teams the same option the Chiefs have currently, yes, I'm with you. I'm just saying a year later from now, and if he doesn't have another all-pro type season, I don't know why we suddenly think that he would get the deal that he couldn't get a year earlier.
I just think the value of the position and his track history. But I'm saying it's still harder because you're a year older. That part obviously scares teams away. But that's the risk he's taking just by playing out the final year of his deal, which is why he's trying to get his contract.
So what's the final day you think he can show up to where you're not worried about him playing week 1 or anything?
Probably like 3 days before game week. So yeah, like 10 days out. I'd like him. I told you the deadline I was keeping an eye on was Thursday. Because that's
this Thursday?
Yes, that's so 2 weeks before the regular season.
I need him there like the 28th or 29th, which is next Monday or Tuesday. That puts you just outside of a week of game day.
Game week starts Thursday or Friday or whatever the hell, based on the way their lead-up is.
Nerdy, they're laying the grass at Arrowhead, man. It's almost go time. Laying the grass at Arrowhead. We're good to go. They got a preseason game this weekend.
I think the Cardinals should pay them to lay their grass. That's what I think.
The Chiefs field usually is in pretty great shape compared to everybody else. They actually usually are one of the best playing surfaces in the league.
Guys,
they're doing it in Kansas City. How come Arizona can't figure it out?
I don't know.
What do you think, though, that if Chris really wants to be here, that he would take $2 million less and try to meet the Chiefs a little bit more? I get that feeling where you do probably deserve that money, but at the same time, if you really want to be here, then you might take a little bit less money to do that.
It's so hard though, because like because like to me, and it's also just like it's easy to think that way because the numbers are so like just ridiculously high in your brain. But just like put in perspective for your job. let's say you're like, I love working at 610 Sports Radio. And let's just put it in a, like a number that I don't make. They're like, hey, this has happened to me in life where a job has been like, hey, it's better to work here. You should make less. And you're like, it ain't that much better. Back up. How much money are we talking about is the difference here? You're talking about the difference between like $10 million. That's a huge difference. Like if somebody's offering you $100,000 at your job, no, it's better to work here. Take 80. You're like, I do like working here, but I don't know if I like working here for 20% less than I'm worth. Like there is like, if it were your job, you would not be feeling that way is the hard part.
Yeah, this is where we said from the beginning, like who blinks first kind of thing, because you can mention like, hey, that the dollar amount, you shouldn't take less than what you think you're worth. But also this is where the NFL, the way the CBA is set up, the team has the advantage because
big advantage.
If you're Chris Jones going into the season, the same reason why you were saying, hey, it's good to not show up to camp because you could get hurt. Well, he's going to have to worry about that the entire season if he doesn't have a long-term deal done. Like that's the balancing act here. This is why it's tricky and why negotiations happen. But he will be risking the same thing for 17 games if he doesn't have a new deal that he was not willing to risk during training camp.
No, yes, but at the very least, he would have cost himself $2 million, which stinks. And if he doesn't get that long-term deal after this
I'll tell you this: if he wants,
it probably wasn't worth it. But
if he wants to be a Hall of Famer, Kansas City is his best path for that, right?
Yes.
If he wants to be a Hall of Famer.
Because I think if you get if you were an all-pro player, which he is, and you get a third Super Bowl, I don't know that you're not a lock for the Hall of Fame. They might just put you in it because you have 3 Super Bowl rings and a second and first team all-pro to your name. And maybe an all-decade team. Well, all-decade's going to be tough because Aaron Donald exists, but, he
has to have 3 to get there. And then there's
now,
still a little bit of a conversation. The sack number, if he continues to play for 4, 5, 6 years, because we looked up his sack numbers. He's got, believe it or not, 40 less sacks than Neil Smith even had. We looked this up the other like a week or two ago.
But he also plays a different position. It's so weird.
So as long as he stays healthy and plays forward, the numbers should get there. And then the question is, does he get another ring? When you look at the Patriots dynasties that they had, it wasn't just Brady and one other player that are in the Hall of Fame. There's multiple. We know that Mahomes and Kelsey are going to be in the Hall of Fame. Who are the 3rd and 4th guys during this next over 10-year run, right? Is Chris Jones the 3rd guy? And then is there someone that they've drafted recently that could become that? We'll find out. I mean, maybe you count Tyreek Hill in that scenario and say those are the 3 already. And you say Mahomes, Kelsey, Tyreek, and then who's the 4th? Because Tyreek's going to end up being the way, if he doesn't retire next year like he says he's going to or whatever, Tyreek Hill's going to end up there too.
Just if you were curious, lowest sack total for any NFL Hall of Famer is 100.
Yeah, so he's got work to do.
Yeah.
He's on a path, though, and Kansas City's the best path for him to end up in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. There is a battle going on, though, for the rest of preseason that I don't think any of us thought at all. I don't know if anybody brought it up before preseason started. That, oh, man, there could be a competition for the backup quarterback job?
I didn't think Andy would ever entertain
That's a real thing. That's a real thing that's going on. Andy Reid acknowledged that Blaine Gabbert, Shane Buechele, they're battling.
Now, those 2 are real close. I mean, they're real close in there. So they're competing, and just let it play out here, see how it goes. But it's good competition.
Shane Buechele looks much better than he did a year ago. We know they like him.
I thought he could have been the backup last year, as you well know. I've been bringing it up for years.
Protected him last year when another team, I think it was the Cardinals, were going to claim him. They said, no, we're going to make you active, put you on the 53-man roster. So they clearly have belief in him. The question here is, to me, more than does Buechele outplay Blaine Gabbert on Saturday? It is, will Andy switch his thought process, and is he comfortable going with a non-veteran to back up Mahomes, someone that does not have starting experience in the league? Chad Henne, of course, did. Chad Henne was needed in the postseason runs.
He did it with Kevin Kolb once.
Blaine Gabbert has plenty of experience. Is he willing to alter his thought process? That's what it's not. It's not just does Buechele outplay him on Saturday. I don't think that matters anymore. I think Buechele, the play, he's on the same level there. It's just the experience. Do you think Buechele, if needed, it's a huge game to win the division because Mahomes happens to be out week 16 or something, and you need a backup to start a game for you? Can you win with Shane Buechele? That's what you have to answer. If the answer is yes, Blaine Gabbert might be the odd man out. It's $1.5 million or so, I think, if they cut Blaine Gabbert.
They'll save about $500,000. Like, they'll get $500,000 back. So, I mean, I would say that it's pretty much a nothing move. They'll probably cut another player somewhere along the way that they've given $1 million to. Because they can't, here's the thing, you can't keep 3 quarterbacks. We just had this roster crunch conversation. 7 wide receivers, 4 running backs. No, and 3 quarterbacks all of a sudden? No. You will not leave your defense that handicapped. backup quarterbacks offer no other value to the team. You can make Justin Ross cover a kick. Shane Buechele's not covering a kick, right? Gabbert's not covering a kick. You can't be in those circumstances, so it doesn't make sense to put yourself in those positions. I tried to go through last night and look up the backup quarterbacks for Andy Reid in the time he had McNabb and Alex Smith and all these other guys. But he's gone Matt Moore. The entire time in Kansas City, it's pretty much been veteran backup who started. Matt Moore, Chad Henne, Gabbert, whatever, right? He has clearly targeted that player. It's time. It's time to just trust your process and that Shane Buechele, if he had to handle the job for a couple of plays, could do it. And it's cheaper in the long run. He is like the perfect backup in the sense that he could be here forever, never cost you a ton of money, knows the system better than anyone. I've made up the comparison. I've told you the comparison before of Jim Sorgi. Sorgi. It worked, right? It worked in Indianapolis for all those years.
I feel better about Buechele this time than I did a year ago, though. Buechele, I don't know how you can't watch preseason and camp and realize he's a better quarterback today than he was a year ago. And to me, that's why he's actually acknowledging that there is a true competition. I think a year ago, there was no chance. No chance. It also helps that Blaine Gabbert's still new to the system, right? Chad Henne had been here.
And he could stash Buechele last year because the whole league didn't know about him yet.
Correct.
They cut him loose. He's going to go be a backup somewhere else.
Absolutely.
Not here, but somewhere else.
That'll be, it's the backup quarterback gig. You hope it doesn't matter. But we have seen during these playoff runs, at least for a period of time, a quarter, a drive, Mahomes can get nicked up a little bit. And so Shane Buechele is something that there's someone that now I feel a little bit better about if you told me that's the decision and path they go down. You guess you can have 3 quarterbacks that don't count on the roster for game day, but that doesn't mean it doesn't count on your 53-man roster. So that's the issue you have to look into. We got 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 7 wide receivers.
There's just a numbers game that doesn't make sense at some point. And at quarterback, Andy, I know he's never kept 7 wide receivers, but he's not keeping 3. He only kept 3 quarterbacks later in the year when somebody threatened, right? Somebody threatened to take their guy. If you go back through and you really look at all the different players that they had kept as backups, there's a couple of times with his time in Philly where he took a slightly bigger risk. And then Kevin called, but he was a 2nd-round pick and he was in the system. And technically Mahomes was an inexperienced backup quarterback, right? But they had a veteran in there and then they just switched to Mahomes. Buechele's been around long enough. Either he's your backup quarterback or you got to just say goodbye. You got to cut him loose because at this point, I do think Shane Buechele is going to be a backup quarterback in the league somewhere. At the very least, at a team that might carry 3 quarterbacks, even if you don't. I just, I'm surprised Buechele let himself in the conversation. They signed Gabbert.
Played really well.
They signed Gabbert. I'm like, all right, well, I guess there's the veteran backup. Just like Henne, just like Matt Moore, we're kind of locked here, right? We're done. That's the backup QB, and we're square. But then all of a sudden, Buechele made an actual competition of it. I'm impressed. Would you go with Buechele? Here's 2 quick.
Yeah.
Would you? Do you think Andy actually will?
It would mean a complete shift.
Henne has been important twice.
I'll be honest. So I feel better about Buechele now than I did a year ago, but we have seen Chad Henne, and we have seen potentially, in this case, Blaine Gabbert, right? Veteran quarterbacks, and how beneficial it was to have a guy that just ran the offense smoothly, didn't make mistakes when he was in the game. I think that's ultimately still where I would lean. But Andy acknowledging it tells us that there's clearly much more consideration than ever before. Someone says, hey, the 3rd quarterback counts on the 53-man roster or doesn't count on it. The new rule, remember, there's certain elements to it. So basically, you can have a 3rd quarterback dressed for games, but it still requires the team to have the 3 quarterbacks on the 53-man roster. So for those of you tweeting in and texting in
on the 53.
That says it doesn't count towards your 53, it does. On game day, it doesn't count to your active roster. On game day, you get an extra spot. You can have the extra running back up on game day and the 3rd quarterback. But you can't just have the 3rd quarterback not count on your 53.
I know that Chad Henne did a single drive, 2 drives, right, in the playoffs this year. And I know that he completed a single pass to Tyreek Hill that I'm convinced most NFL quarterbacks who are in the league could complete. It was like a 5-yard out route. Pat Mahomes has missed 3 games in 5 years. If it comes down to Buechele, so what? The man doesn't miss that much time. 3 games in 5 years? I'll risk it with Buechele. I'll save the money in the long run, and I'll just have my young backup quarterback. To me, that makes more sense. That's a better long-term plan. And for a team that is trying to squeeze 2 nickels to make a dime every single year because they're always going to be against the cap, because they got high-priced talent like Kelsey and Mahomes or Chris Jones that they want to pay, Go with the rookie. Or not rookie, but go with the guy who's never played in an NFL game for real and just see how it goes.
Coming up next, we'll get to what's trending and then back into what could happen around 2 o'clock or so this afternoon with the stadium renderings for the potential downtown ballpark. And Bobby Wood Jr. continues to stay hot. We'll get into that next year on Cody and Gold.
Cody and Gold.
The facts on this show are irrelevant.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
When you have asphalt and concrete needs, there's only one company in Kansas City you need to call. That's Gann Asphalt and Concrete. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Look, they're one contractor, all things parking lot. It doesn't matter which things you need. Asphalt paving services, those maintenance solutions, or even major concrete work. Gann Asphalt and Concrete can take care of it for you. Go to their website for yourself and take a look, GANNasphalt.com, or give them a call, 816-354-1214.
What makes for a great vacation? Depends on who you ask. Are you looking to get away or bring everyone together? Do you want to get outside and play or see a play at the plate? Fortunately, however you operate, I'm the destination you've been looking for. The name's Missouri, but you can call me Mo. And I have just one question. What's your MO? Come see me at visitmo.com.
Well, we just picked up an extra couple minutes each and every day now that we're not driving up to St. Joe for camp. And the last time I added a few extra minutes to my day was when I decided to get rid of my contacts or glasses. When I called DuraVision over 2.5 years ago and decided enough is enough, I need to save some time in the mornings dealing with contacts, remembering to pack contact solution on trips. All that is over now that I see with my own two eyes after calling DuraVision for that free consultation. They walked me through exactly what they could do for my vision going forward. And a couple days later, I went in for my procedure, and now it's like I've been like this my entire life, basically. I wake up, and I forget that I ever wore contacts. I see with my own two eyes. I have improved vision, safer vision. Laser vision actually is 5 times safer than contacts due to infections that some people can get as well. And right now, you can save up to $1,000 on your LASIK procedure with DuraVision's End of Summer LASIK Savings event. But you got to hurry up before it's too late. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Go to DuraVision.com or give them a call at 913-491-3330.
The health of your home starts at the foundation. Here's James and Josiah of American Topsoil.
A wet basement can be a nightmare for homeowners. Prevent it by adding topsoil around your foundation.
If poor drainage is ignored or left unchecked, this can allow water to flow inward toward your foundation, potentially causing dangerous cracks and leaks.
Guys, the message is adding topsoil now can prevent big foundation problems.
That's right. So protect your home and give yourself peace of mind with this easy solution.
You can be confident knowing you'll only pay for the amount of soil you actually need. Call us at American Topsoil, 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, 30 years and 4 generations of great topsoil for landscaping, gardening, and foundation preservation. With locations in Olathe and KC Mo. Nutrient-rich organic topsoil delivered with their power wheelbarrow service right where you need it. Call 913-888-SOIL or online at americantopsoil.com. Great topsoil, great service. American Topsoil.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up. And if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with the rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
At Fisher Investments, we do things differently, and other money managers don't understand why.
Because our way works great for us.
But it may not work for your clients. That's why Fisher Investments is a fiduciary, obligated to put clients first. It's the highest standard for a financial advisor.
So, what do you provide? Cookie-cutter portfolios like the rest of us?
No cookie-cutter portfolios here. Fisher Investments tailors portfolios to meet each client's goals and needs.
But you do sell investments that earn you high commissions, right? And make commissions when you make trades for your clients?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission investment products, and we never earn commissions on trades.
So what's in it for you?
Fisher Investments fees are structured so we do better when our clients do better. When it comes to helping clients achieve a comfortable retirement, we're clearly different. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments, clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motor Studios. Last year, Pete Sweeney was accused of cheating in the hot dog derby. This year, he's been disqualified for competing, so come join us for 610 Day at the K and watch the drama unfold on Tuesday, August 29th. 610 Sports Radio, KCSP Kansas City, WDAF HD2 Liberty, always live on the free Odyssey app. What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
Number 1 on What's Trending, one of the best running backs in the league is available. The Colts making Jonathan Taylor's quest for a new contract a possibility elsewhere, at least. The Colts seeking a first-round pick. They've given him permission to seek a trade or a package of picks that equates to as much as that first-rounder. Remember, Jonathan Taylor, of course, would need a new deal elsewhere, plus compensation the Colts could agree on. It's August 22nd, like 2.5 weeks away from the regular season. I don't think he ultimately gets traded. I would be surprised if he does. That's a hell of a trade to pull off this quickly before the season for a star player. If you're the Dolphins, you're the favorite right now to land his services. We know they were interested in Dalvin Cook, and it would be a big boost to Tua in that offense. But I don't know if I'm a general manager for any team that I'm paying a back coming off an injury a contract that will make him one of the highest paid running backs in football, even though he's great.
There's people who traded for Christian McCaffrey, so I assume someone will kick it around in their front office.
Christian McCaffrey's just more valuable. He's got the injury history, but Christian McCaffrey can do everything. Jonathan Taylor, 1,800-yard back. He's incredible, but you got to know that he's healthy off the ankle injury, and you know he's more about being just your typical running back than Christian McCaffrey, who can be a receiver, can be a running back on a regular basis for you that provides matchup nightmares for the defense.
I think that the Bears might make the most sense out of anybody available. We can talk more about the teams later, but the Bears might make the most sense because
that's fun too.
They want to help. Well, they want to help their guy, Justin Fields. The only way to find out if some of these young quarterbacks can at least be like, hey, top 10, 9, 10, 11 worthy is to surround them with talent and then really go at it. Because the offensive line there is still problematic. So at least put some weapons around it to make it plausible. Next up on What's Trending, the Royals fall again last night, 6-4, but Bobby Wood Jr. hit yet another home run. Only a handful of home runs shy of a 30-30 season, which obviously does not happen very often in baseball. We're going to talk about how that could relate to the stadium here in just a minute. But yeah, I get it. The Royals still not winning as many games as you would like. God, Bobby Wood Jr. has been impossibly fun to watch for 2 months now?
It's a hell of
This is a heater.
Yeah, you can almost not even call it a heater anymore, though. This
and
is
just this the type of player he is?
It's 2 months. Now, I always push back. Like, I hate when we go, we're like, well, if he would have done this for the first 2 months, then he'd be like a 45 home run hitter.
Here's the thing.
Well, we can't. I know that's what the numbers would say, but like, I can do that for a lot of players. Like, he's been incredible for 2 months. But saying that, like, well, he would be a 40 homer if his April didn't count. Well, the April did count, so he's not a 40 home run hitter.
The other part is, with Bobby right now,
he's incredible.
You don't need those caveats. He leads the league in triples. He's got 25 home runs. He's got 37 stolen bases. He's got an 824 OPS from the shortstop position and is playing like one of the league's best shortstops. He's going to be a Gold Glove finalist at shortstop this year. I'm good. We're good. You don't need to put any caveats on if only he had been good in April. He's been dominant for every month but April, and his stats, even with those, are great. So, yeah, just feel good about Bobby.
We'll talk more about Bobby and the impact it has on the stadium project for the Royals coming up after What's Trending. Next up on What's Trending, a little college basketball. So Jerome Tang, of course, unbelievable year one, exceeded expectations to say the least, an incredible push. And we mentioned the recruiting benefit. Part of that also is getting the student body fired up. Jerome Tang was talking about the students and going for a sellout throughout this entire basketball season, something that hasn't happened before. There are a sold-out crowd every single game. There was a story that Jerome Tang actually gave out his phone number to K-State students, the freshman body, right, the orientation or whatever, and he gave out his phone number. And I guess he said, hey, look, if I do this, you guys got to show up to these games. And he spoke a little bit more, and he said one freshman did take him up on the offer. Some freshman ran out of gas and texted him, and he helped him out.
Hey, Jerome.
Which is incredible.
Oh, my God, that's ridiculous. That's a good way to get yourself to be one of the most popular men in K-State. And it's hard to become the most popular man in K-State history because Bill Snyder exists.
Yeah, we'll talk more
by the way,
about
pretty soon, if they get rid of the block feature, Bill Snyder's going to have to come.
The what?
I'm going to be, if they get rid of the block feature on Twitter they're talking about, Bill Snyder's going to have me revisit his mentions. I wasn't even in his mentions before.
You
Bill
weren't here.
Snyder blocked me on Twitter.
Think about that. Bill Snyder blocking anybody is a big deal. I still don't know what Cody did exactly.
I think old man got confused, if you want to know the truth.
Think about that, Drew. What terrible thing did Cody tweet at a legendary Hall of Fame coach to get blocked?
Nothing.
To Bill Snyder, he's such a nice guy.
I know.
Handwritten notes and all that. Here's what happened, by the way. I sent out a tweet making fun of a college kicker. He retweeted it. I don't think he knew how to unretweet something, blocked me instead. It was his top tweet on his page for weeks after he had blocked me.
By the way, K-State, you're wearing a blue shirt today. You're wearing you're wearing like a University of Florida shirt or something over there.
I have the amount of college shirts that I have is insane.
So you got to make a decision.
Do we make him choose a team?
Yeah, we mentioned this your first week on the show, Drew, that you got to pick a side here. You got the three local. You got KU, K-State, Missouri. You need to pick a side and which team you're going to get behind. You have no ties to any of the schools. You just moved here. So you got to pick. Have you decided? Are you leaning a direction?
I'm leaning a direction.
Okay.
I think it comes down to two. KU, I think, is out of the picture because I feel like I'm bandwagoning too much with that.
Oh, because they win national championships in basketball? Is that why? Or what? What are you talking about? Okay.
Oh, you wouldn't be bandwagoning the football team other than they got themselves to 6 wins or whatever.
The Lance Leipold bandwagon. No, I just feel like it's to join a blue bullet and be a part of that fan base as a 27-year-old person is like, you should have done that a long time ago.
So you want to join a fan base that doesn't win at all? I think I know what direction you're heading.
MU or K-State is what he's down to.
That would be MU. I mean, K-State just won the Big 12 championship in basketball or in football. So they won something.
But they like to think of themselves as underdog. Different vibe. Yeah. Kansas has never claimed to be an underdog. They just know they're the biggest on the block.
K-State though K-State's at least won something here recently.
Yeah, they have. MU's never won anything.
No,
I do technically.
Drew might not want to go that far down.
I don't know.
The depths, you know?
I do technically have ties to both K-State and Missouri, not
really
directly.
What's this?
So Nigel Pack was at K-State, left.
Right.
Maybe that's the reason I don't know. Maybe it's the reason I shouldn't. But he went to my high school, Missouri. If anybody who's listening remembers Brandon Lee, linebacker, him and I were classmates and we grew up playing sports together. And so there's some ties there. But
and someone said, "Can he pick you in KC?" Now that's my territory.
Ironically, directly related to Lawrence Central High School. Both of those schools. But, yeah, so I'm down to those two. But we'll...
Official announcement tomorrow, maybe?
Sure. I would like a school, though, that Missouri is stuck in a spot where once Pinkel left, they haven't been able to win more than like 8 or 9 games on a regular
sounds
basis.
like he's going to K-State.
I don't know.
Sounds like you're
But
going to.
again, he's a Cincinnati fan. 0 championships. Missouri would fit nicely.
Correct. Plus Tigers, I don't know.
Yeah, plus Tigers.
Tigers, you got the Tigers, the Bengals connection. Although K-State's the Wildcats. Okay.
Give him a chance.
My guess is you're leaning more towards purple.
That's also why I didn't want Kansas, because their bird, it just doesn't fit my MO, in terms of sports.
Fine.
Fair enough. Lastly, on What's Trending, Baker Mayfield has been named the starting quarterback in Tampa over Kyle Trask. Makes all the sense in the world. He's kind of been getting the majority of that during the time.
They signed
He's
him
a
for that.
veteran, and you can always go to Kyle Trask if for some reason, and it will eventually, things go south in Tampa.
That's the thing. You can't go Trask to start week 1. He
And then go
sucks,
to
and
Baker.
then you go to Baker. There's no hope in future there. Even though I don't think Kyle Trask is anything, at least this way, Baker, let's say he gets benched 6, 7, 8 weeks into the season, then Kyle Trask comes in. At least you feel like there's a glimmer you can sell to fans, even though it's pretty weak. I mean, you're stretching just to make that happen. But I'm not surprised. Baker Mayfield, who, unfortunately, there was a story in the last couple of days. His family, some family members allegedly have stolen like $12 million from him. They like scammed their own son. It's messed up. You can dig deeper on that one. But yeah, there's a story where Baker Mayfield got ripped off by his family.
Money will do crazy things to people. Ripping off your own family
That's
members
messed
is,
up, man.
yeah, it's really terrible.
Yeah, it was. That's what's trending, by the way, here on Cody and Gold. But yeah, it had to do with, I think it was his father or something, or some other family member of some investment firm or something they were involved in pretty shady stuff, allegedly involving Baker.
That just came
Mayfield.
out, right? Like yesterday?
Yeah, in the last couple of days, yeah, over the weekend maybe, something like that. Text line's really pushing for K-State for you too, Drew. They said he's a Cats fan for sure.
Okay.
They said have Drew come to a football game and hit Aggieville. We do probably need to have you do the college tour. I think even if you pick
Yes.
K-State, I think we need to get you to Columbia, get you to Lawrence, get you to Manhattan. I think you need to at least experience a game day at each one of these. Yeah.
Football or basketball, doesn't matter. Basketball for Kansas.
I mean, you
Or
could do
save it for
whatever.
a game day.
Probably
Dude,
football, yeah.
current Memorial Stadium.
Yeah.
Don't do that to him. That's
I'm
just
talking,
me.
about, I'm talking about for this football season. But yeah, obviously
Yeah.
for basketball, there's one of the 3 locals that has
I
a
would
game
love
day
to do it.
experience.
Yeah. The Octagon. I've been to a couple of games, like a couple of KU K-State games in the Octagon of Doom. It was fun.
If KU's playing them, it's a hell of an experience.
Great atmosphere.
Page Arena in Columbia, not so sure.
We'll have to pick
Limited
up
one. That was when
pick a
UMKC beat
game
'em.
that each
Excuse
is
me,
playing.
Mizzou Arena. I'm sorry.
We'll have to pick a game that each is playing for me to go to.
That's right.
Yeah.
I do know. I do want to go to Allen Fieldhouse when they play UConn, if possible,
Wow,
because
yeah, that's
that game's going to be so good. I can't wait.
That's going to be an expensive ticket.
It will be.
Yeah.
It will absolutely be.
Maybe not that one.
Thinking of venues, though, the experience. You haven't been to Kauffman Stadium yet. You're going to get your first glimpse of Kauffman coming up in a couple weeks. We have our 610 day at the K on the 29th. Eventually, though, you won't be going to Kauffman. You'll be going to either North Kansas City or downtown KC Mo. This afternoon, the 2 sites, the renderings are going to be unveiled by the Royals for that Clay County site and the Jackson County site. And we'll get a much better feel, I think, of what that actually could look like for each, and supposedly the economic benefits, some more detailed of each location and what they think the outlook could be for the downtown site versus the Clay County site. So I'm excited to hear that. I'm excited to certainly see the renderings for both projects, to see exactly what they have in mind. And I'm sure
What they're claiming the economic benefits are, I'll listen to.
yeah, and we'll hear from John Sherman this afternoon, and certainly tomorrow on the show we'll talk about it. But when you mentioned Bobby Wood Jr. during what's trending in the stretch that he, and again, shouldn't even say streak, shouldn't say stretch. It's been
The
2
season.
months.
How about this? The season he is
having.
Yeah.
The impact that he could have in this stadium project plan going forward, and the impact for this baseball team. Is Bobby Wood Jr. playing in the new stadium? How about that? Let's just start there. Does Bobby Wood Jr. ever play a game in whatever site they pick?
I think that's why getting this. I think that this offseason is actually, you'd be like, this is crazy. They got like 4 more years of control. I feel like if they're going to get Bobby Wood Jr. signed to a long-term deal, it happens now, like right now. And he still has to decide to take Julio Rodriguez money and convince himself that, well, I'm just going to take this $200 million now because it is $200 million now versus risk the next 4 years to try to get 3 or 350, because that's really what's on the table for him. If he plays this contract out, he could play himself into $100 million more. Or as you and I, because like for us, Gold to be like, well, I got to be honest, I probably just take the $200 million guaranteed because that money's just coming my way. No matter what I do in this world, no matter what I do in baseball, he's going to be motivated. I'm not worried about his ability to do it. But do I think he actually does it?
And a Royals uniform, by the way.
No, I'm guessing he doesn't. I don't know. I mean, I think it makes all the sense in the world to do it because I just feel like if you're John Sherman, you say, hey, we're voting in April on the new stadium thing. And by the way, Bobby Wood Jr., he'll be playing in that damn stadium because we just gave him 10 years and $200 million. Like, to me, if you look at it from a long-term investment standpoint, this is the easiest way to curry favor of anybody who might still be questioning you. You can just bring them all on board. Chiefs will be on board, and now Bobby Wood Jr. is on board because he's going to be the golden child who's playing for this. He has the kind of talent to be your next super great, to be your next Greinke, or to be your next, I don't know if you remember Beltran before he eventually was out of here, but to actually keep the man in KC. Greinke didn't stay in KC long term, neither did Beltran. The last guy to be great and stay here the whole time is Salvi, probably. But even he is a different level of player and talent level than the guys we saw like Brett or the others that came through town.
Yeah, other than winning, which can't happen yet for this season because they've been 40-plus games under 500 for months, that's the only other thing in addition to spending money on the rest of the roster that probably can change anything. I still am convinced, I've said it over and over, I'm still convinced for the stadium projects, people have made their decision. And I think there's a very small amount of people that are actually being swayed still based off of anything that is going to be said or done. And then next weeks and months ahead when it comes to the stadium projects. I think if you're pro downtown stadium, I would be pretty surprised if something happened today with the renderings and economic news that convinces
really
you that the Clay County site's better. If you're someone that's all sold on the Clay County site, I'm guessing probably unlikely that you're going to all of a sudden switch to the downtown site. And if you're just against new stadium, I doubt the two renderings are going to change your mind. I just think we're far enough along in the process that people have just made their decision, and that's fine. I think the Bobby Wood Jr. factor is certainly huge, but I'll be honest, if you told me this offseason that we found out that they're not going to be able to do an extension, that for what,
then it feels unlikely that he's going to get an extension.
That Bobby Wood, yeah, I mean, if it doesn't happen this offseason, it seems very unlikely.
Which is crazy because he got like 4 years left on his deal, but baseball's so weird.
Well, I think the
like
Royals
that.
would have to operate that way. Like, if they find out that in their discussions, either because it's financial directly, that's one thing. You could be critical if the Royals weren't able to pay a certain dollar amount. But I'm wondering, is Bobby Wood Jr. and his team, his agent, his dad, are they convinced that the Royals will put together a winning team over the course of that 6, 8, 10-year contract?
I'd sit in that meeting and I'd ask it.
You have to ask for that plan. What does that look like? Be convinced.
By the way,
because if you're not, Cody, then the correct route would be to trade him. If you know that you can't do that, because keeping him and only having a 2-year window or 3-year window to get something in terms of the postseason, then you do need to trade him if that's the case. The only scenario where I'm good with them trading him is if you tell me, if JJ says flat out, hey, the deal can't happen.
I would say that that's how most good functioning organizations work. Now, what's funny is the Royals didn't pay anybody and won a World Series and then let them all become free agents and it didn't matter, right? Because they won the World Series, so we didn't care. They operated the way you're saying they operate now, which is, hey, you got 4 years. 4 years to win a World Series with Bobby Wood Jr., then you just got to let him walk and live your life. But that led to, like, the organizations who are good over a long period of time don't operate that way. The Royals did the last time they won a World Series, and so none of us are going to really fight it. I can't be like, they made all the wrong decisions. But had they, and really the mistake they made was in 2016, not just moving
Heck, they didn't even acknowledge that.
Dude, and honestly, think about that from a real perspective for a minute. Imagine being the general manager of a team. And I get it that the Marlins did it. I'm not saying it's never happened in baseball. But that has got to be one of the most impossible situations to sit in a meeting and be like, okay, just won the World Series, everyone, so get rid of everybody? Like, that would just be an uncomfortable conversation. And I know some teams, again, like the Marlins, just go back to 100-loss seasons. But they don't have, honestly, the reason why it's hard to do that is the Marlins don't have the fan base the Royals do. Dedicated members who still care about their team. The Marlins don't have that.
No, I get it. And look, I know what the reaction would be. If I told you we had a show, all of a sudden we woke up on November the 15th and we're doing a show and Bobby Wood Jr. got traded. I know what the reaction would be. It would be ugly. I have no doubt in my mind. I'm just telling you, I don't think it would be the worst decision for this organization. Would I prefer them sign to an 8 to 10 year deal? Absolutely. That's my preference. That should be the Royals' preference. I don't know if that's Bobby Wood Jr.'s preference. I don't know. Maybe it is. I hope it is. If it's not, then you do need to trade him.
I like the suggestion from Twitch from Cashed Out Gaming is just give him a section in the new ballpark village called Bobby's World. It's his own little part. He gets the part of the sales, and everybody moves on. Unfortunately, in sports, they don't really let you do that. or all these teams would do that to convince him. They only let you do that in like the MLS if you're letting Messi come over.
That's correct, yeah.
They're like, Messi, would you like an MLS team for $25 million? Sounds cool, man. Come on over. Score 1 million goals. You know that team was in like fourth to last place
Now
and
they're
actually
unstoppable.
has a chance to make the postseason?
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Because Messi just showed up and is an unstoppable force.
But no, he gets revenue from the Apple TV deal and everything. It's just a little bit, it's a much different setup.
And his apparel deal.
Adidas deal or whatever, yeah.
Like if they let players do and look, they get money for apparel deals, but just like getting a number off the top from the entire league is amazing. Like if Shohei Ohtani was like, hey, anybody who subscribes to MLB TV, I'm gonna like a cut of that. You'd be like, wait, what? And honestly, you'd be like, I mean, there are probably people that are subscribing like in Japan or other countries just for Shohei. Are you sure you don't want to just give them the ones out of like, you know, that part of the world? Because it's probably coming from him. It's just, I'm interested obviously quite a bit in the renderings today because it's going to finally shape what specifically those sites look like is obviously what we're hoping for. The last rendering you sent in downtown is just like generic downtown stadium shot, not here's how we have these areas planned. Here's how the ballpark village looks, etc. I was looking up Royals Review actually had a good article up about like the amount of revenue generated from the Braves ballpark district, ones they've cited quite a bit. And again, I always think those numbers are a little overinflated, but there is a lot of money that moves in and out of those districts, which is good for the city typically.
2 o'clock today. Again, 2 o'clock today is when the 2 sites are supposed to be unveiled. Again, they're not selecting which site today. They're just saying these are the 2 sites fully, what it would look like. And then at a later date is actually when they would narrow it down to one of the 2 specific sites between Jackson County and the Clay County, North Kansas City location. You guys remember at the beginning of training camp, right before the first day of camp, not in Kansas City, but in Buffalo, there was the controversy around Sean McDermott's comments saying that, Stephon Diggs wasn't at camp, and he said, are you concerned? He was asked, are you concerned? And he basically said yes. And then that blew up, and Josh Allen had to come out and kind of defend Diggs, and everything got brought up, and Stephon Diggs had a tweet and say, I still want to be here, and everybody freaked out for a little bit. Then it calmed down. Well, Stephen A. Smith yesterday was talking about the Jets, actually, and what he thinks they can do this year. And he went back to the Bills and said he still thinks Stephon Diggs, Cody, doesn't want to be in Buffalo.
Here's exactly what he said on his show yesterday.
So you got Stephon Diggs, this brother all-world receiver, but clearly wasn't happy. He walked out, didn't want to talk to nobody. They came into training camp. They had some friction. They had to get settled and all of this other stuff. Brother wants out, by the way. I'm just telling you what I know. I got my own sources. Brother wants out. He don't want to be in Buffalo anymore. He don't want to. I'm telling you right now. I have my sources. Stephon Diggs got to be there, but he would prefer to be gone because he's lost a level of belief in the Buffalo Bill. That's right. I said it. It's Stephen A., baby. I'm telling you what I know. Okay, they can deny it. They can tell you what to do. I have my sources. I'm telling you what I know. All right, but he's not going to force his way out. He know he got to be there and they got to perform. But he ain't feeling the Buffalo Bills the way that he once did because he feels there's a window of opportunity that they may have missed out on. Josh Allen's got to show them that's not true.
I told you this before. I believe all the rumors that Stephon Diggs has went out. This is exactly how he left Minnesota. He just started being like, all the rumors started swirling that he wasn't happy, didn't believe, wanted out. We've said before, one of the problem is that you're not likely to get a better situation than the one you're in.
Top 5 quarterback.
Unless you can figure out a way to get traded to Cincinnati or Kansas City. I'm not sure your situation is improving. It's also why I'm down on Buffalo this year, is that they've missed their opportunity 3 years in a row, and now they're starting to have a little bit of dysfunction. And that's usually that sign of cracking gold is when you should start running away from a team's chance to win a Super Bowl the way it had been in the previous years. They are not as likely to win the Super Bowl this year as they were the previous 2 years, even though the roster is almost identical.
Yeah, so I'm same page of, to me, it's less likely this year, but it's not because of Stephon Diggs wanting to not be there or wants to be there. It is what you said. 2 years ago, the Jets didn't have Aaron Rodgers. 2 years ago, the Dolphins didn't have one of the best offenses when Tua was healthy. 2 years ago, Cincinnati, we all thought, they're just kind of plucky underdog team. Are they real or not? We know they're here to stay. It's just a different feel. So I'm with you that I think the Bills could take a half step back, but I also think they're still going to be a 10-plus win football team. And if you think they're dropping back, I don't think it's because of the Diggs situation, because as even Stephen A. admitted in his little report there, he can't really go anywhere. Like, he's going to be there. Like, I don't think Stephon Diggs, knowing his situation, is just going to be there and just pout all season and have a terrible season. I think Stephon Diggs will still have over 1,000 yards this season, be their leading receiver. Dalton Kincaid can probably help him out a little bit. Diggs did respond to the Stephen A. report, though, on Twitter. He tweeted out, 100% not true. I don't know who the source is, but I thought I nipped this bleep. I almost cursed there. I was trying to read the text in the bud already. And then he also tweeted out in a separate tweet, rocking with my dogs, Bills Mafia through and through. So, of course, obviously he's not going to tweet out and be like, you know what, Stephen A. was right.
Players always think that the 3 people they can trust in their world won't tell important people those things. That's what Tom Brady thought when Adam Schefter broke his retirement news. And then he was like, whoa, hey, I'm not retiring. And then he was retiring. I haven't decided yet. I'm like, you sat in your living room and you told 3 people, including Giselle, that you were retiring. And one of those 3 people talked to Adam Schefter and told him you were retiring. And then he broke that news. Somebody inside of Stephon Diggs' friend circle, I don't care if they were drinking beers in someone's garage. And he was like, man, I am sick of being in Buffalo. He actually said that. I'm convinced that Stephen A's not just saying that.
I'm convinced that, well, that he was in a casual setting with somebody,
Teammate,
and he's
friend,
like, man, I'm
whatever.
sick of just being here. This stuff is crap, blah, 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 blah. Probably like that. It's one thing. Would he prefer not to be there? Maybe so. But is he requesting a trade? Is he demanding? No. So that's why I don't also think it's that big of a deal. I think he's full steam ahead for this season. What they need more than anything is Von Miller to come back at some point this year and be the guy he was prior to the injury, because that defense was so much different. When it came to Kansas City and Von Miller, he sealed the deal against the Chiefs. If Von Miller can actually be Von Miller prior to the injury, then that's a whole different conversation.
I also feel with Stephon Diggs, he's trying to not be like the bad guy in this situation, knowing how it went in Minnesota. Because if you also think about it, say he finds a way to get out of Buffalo. I mean, who's going to want a guy that now 2 times has really had a hard time gelling with everybody?
People
Teams
talent,
don't care.
talent,
They're like, number 1 wideout. We only need to be good for 3 years.
Like, he's still a top 6-7 receiver, if not maybe top 5 receiver in this league.
Yeah, people kept wanting T.O.
3 years ago, right? Or 2 years ago. So Jefferson led it last year. Then it was Kupp. The year before, Stephon Diggs led the league in receiving. So I think talent wins out ultimately, and the contract's already done. I mean, that exists there. Maybe next offseason, if the Bills do fall apart this year and there's more issues, then maybe next offseason there is a chance he gets traded. But I think Stephon Diggs will still have the 5th, 6th most receiving yards in football this year, if not more, and have a great season for the Bills.
What's left on his contract?
How many
like
years?
$1 million years.
He
A
just
lot of
signed
money.
that extension when he got there, right?
It was like a 5-year, $70 million
What's
deal.
guaranteed, I guess, is probably the
Looks
the better
like
question.
He still has. He's signed through 2027. Spot Track puts the potential out after the 2024 season. That's when you could cut him. I don't know if that's an out. He'd be a $22 million dead cap hit.
Well, they would
but a $27 million regular cap. So you'd say $5 million by cutting him. Really,
they're
you
not-
can't get rid of
well,
that contract until 2026.
Well, you wouldn't cut a player of his caliber. You'd have to get something. You'd have to trade. I mean, you don't just let the guy walk. So it'd be whether or not you could trade and would another team take on the contract. I think the answer in this offseason is yes, if things really go south. But this
Bills
all
come up short again. $27 million a year for him, and whatever Josh Allen's numbers getting ready to jump to. I mean, they're not going to be able to afford any of this ancillary stuff they've been paying for all these years.
Coming up next, we'll get to the random question of the day and thinking of financials and who could actually be on the move. How about Jonathan Taylor? He's now allowed to seek a trade. We'll get to that next.
There's Kelsey to the end zone.
Cody and Gold brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com. Don't miss the Chiefs Red Half Hour every day at 11:30 on your official broadcast partner of the Chiefs, 610 Sports Radio.
Put over $100,000 back in your pocket with the Freedom Loan, exclusive at Cap One Lending. You've heard us talk about the Freedom Loan for years. Here's how it works. It pays mostly principal first, eliminating thousands in interest and taking years off your mortgage, all without changing your spending habits. Call Cap One Lending at 816-905-1111 or apply at caponelending.com. Imagine paying your mortgage off in half the time with half the interest, all with no out-of-pocket closing cost. Whether you're purchasing, refinancing, or taking cash out, call Cap One Lending now and we'll have your loan approved in an hour and ready to close in 10 days. 816-905-1111, 905-1111, or apply at caponelending.com.
Cap One Lending, making your dreams a reality.
a Kansas licensed mortgage company, license number MC0026341, NMLS of Missouri license 2468614. Programs and rates subject to change without notice.
This is Royals Hall of Famer Mike Sweeney. The Royals and the See You in the Major Leagues Foundation are teaming up with Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Kansas City to recognize outstanding high school sport coaches through the Blue KC Coaches with Character program. We'll recognize 6 coaches as a Blue KC Coach with Character. Each honoree will receive a Royals VIP package and more. To nominate an area high school coach, go to seeyouinthemajorleagues.org/BlueKC.
Hey, are your old windows letting all that good air conditioning out? Well, on those hot summer days, that cool air is escaping through your old leaky windows and the hot air is pouring in. You want to replace those old windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer. We still got some time in the summer. You also need to prepare for the winter when the opposite is going to happen. That's why I'm here telling you about Window World, the official window of the Kansas City Chiefs. Window World's windows are one of 2 windows with a good housekeeping seal of approval, ranked number 1 in number of windows sold in the country by Qualified Remodeler magazine. Just over 20 years in business, they have improved the look and thermal efficiency. Over 52,000 homes in Kansas City. You get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor, because Window World uses a double-strength glass that gives it a strength that is not commonly used in replacement windows. Right now, they're offering 18 months, same as cash financing with approved credit. All you need to do is call them for a free home estimate. Replace your windows and keep the cool air inside your house this summer with Window World.
We're with Dr. Brandon Kramer, board-certified urologist at Kansas City Urology Care. Doctor, tell us why it's important to see a urologist for erectile dysfunction.
As men get older, not only can they have problems with erections, but they could have a low testosterone, they can develop prostate cancer, they can have trouble going to the bathroom. And as a urologist, we're uniquely qualified to offer all treatments. If the first treatment doesn't work, we can keep on moving down the road until we find something that works for you. Not only can we give pills or injections or a pump, we're also qualified to do surgery.
So KCUC urologists treat the whole person as well as the ED.
They're not just going to focus on the one thing, have you pay cash and get you out the door. We're going to work with you and work with your insurance to get the right treatments at a really affordable price.
If you suffer from ED, see the experts. Kansas City Urology Care. At KCUC, you see the best in KC. To make an appointment, visit appointments.kcurology.com.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same, but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online? Just go to 4hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation, discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. That's right. Get generic for Viagra, the same active ingredient as brand name Viagra, but for 95% less. It's the same medication, still prescribed by a licensed medical provider, but with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/JOY.
Right now at Wendy's, when you buy either Dave's Single, Spicy Chicken Sandwich, Medium Frosty, or 10-piece nuggets, you can get another for just $1. Your dollar never tasted so good. So it's obvious what everyone will get, right?
Definitely nugs
Spicy
and
Chicken
a Frosty.
Sandwich,
Dave's Single and a Frosty for me.
and a Frosty. Okay, who said Frosty and a Frosty? Pick your obvious choice. Choose wisely. Choose Wendy's, buy one, get one for $1.
Limited time only. Price of participation may vary. U.S. Wendy's valid for item of equal or lesser value. Cannot be combined in a combo or any other offer.
Happy 62nd birthday, Granddad.
Thanks, sweetheart.
I got you this.
A mug. Oh, thank you. What does it say? Beware. If you are 60 or older, you may be at increased risk of hospitalization from RSV, respiratory syncytial virus, compared to adults younger than 60.
Not all dangers come with warning labels. Talk to your pharmacist or doctor about getting vaccinated against RSV today. Learn more at bewareofrsv.com. Brought to you by Pfizer.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. Technicians you can trust with your house keys.
Anthony Plumbing, Heating, Cooling, and Electric. The technicians you can trust with your house keys for over 70 years. Receive 0% financing plus 12-year parts and labor warranty on a new cooling and heating system. Call 268-4669, Kansas or Missouri, or book online now at anthonyphce.com.
Hanging out here on a Tuesday, Cody and Gold, Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, Drew Nixon. You can give Drew a follow if you haven't already, our new producer.
It's not whatever that handle was
It's
before.
not Deer or whatever. It's Drew B. Nix. I have to say it slowly and clearly.
As in, N-I-X for Nix.
Yes, correct. Nix.
I figured that.
At Drew B. Nix.
I probably didn't need to explain that.
On X. Whatever we're calling it.
I don't think anybody would have.
It's Twitter. It's still Twitter.
You know, like that lice shampoo. That one.
Sure. We'll get to the random question of the
That's
day.
like the only brand of lice shampoo.
Coming up, coming up in about 8 minutes.
It's like the most famous one. You know that guy? Like I always think about like little brands like that, and I'm like, you know, the guy who founded that Knicks thing has a $500 million super yacht, and if you just happen to stumble upon it one day, you'd be like, hey man, what did you do for a living? He's like, I created a popular lice shampoo. You're like, okay, nice boat, pretty cool, man. Don't know what to tell you. Are you looking up the founder?
I was
of
trying
Knicks
to,
now?
but I don't feel like doing it anymore.
Just
because
because you really lost interest in that.
I don't need to do that. I don't need to waste time. I don't need to waste time looking up the founder of a shampoo. I think we're good. I think we're
A
all right.
lice shampoo?
I think I'm good, man. We'll get to the
fine.
random question of the day.
Thought maybe you just want to learn something.
Maybe that's the random question of the day. Who founded it? Yeah, we'll let you know. Coming up in a little bit. We were talking about Stephon Diggs and his situation as we look around the league a little bit. But Jonathan Taylor, is he going to be a Colts running back by the time we get to week 1 of the season? Jim Irsay, the owner, has granted permission to Jonathan Taylor. Taylor, 1,800-yard back just a season ago. Coming off an injury, though, and we know he wants to be paid, wants a new deal. He's still got a year left on the contract. Jim Irsay has basically said, we're not doing that. So now he can shop himself around the other franchises. And there's odds on where he can land. The Dolphins are the favorite, plus 250 to land his services. The Ravens are one of the top 3 favorites as well. The question is, if you're Miami, who was interested in Dalvin Cook and an ultra-competitive AFC East, are you willing to not only give up compensation equal to a first-round pick, because that's what the Colts are reportedly asking for, just because you asked for it doesn't mean that that's the only deal you'll accept, and you have to, of course, give a new contract. So are you going to give a running back a deal that makes him one of the highest paid? Now, Tua is still not making big-time money, so you've got some flexibility there. We know Tyreek Hill's top-paid wide receiver, one of the top-paid wide receivers in football. Jalen Waddle's still on a rookie deal, so they've got some more flexibility maybe than other teams. I still think he plays for the Colts. I still think when you have Anthony
I don't know how you
Richardson,
can get this deal done. I don't know if there's enough runway.
I think that timing is on purpose. Like they did this toward like, we can make it, let him find out a little bit that he's not going to get the deal anywhere else. Because if they would have done this in early August, maybe a team would have come up with some scenario to move everything around and make it happen. Now it's awfully tough. I still think he plays for the Colts, and I also think you need to make sure he plays for the Colts at least for this year. You have a rookie quarterback who you name the starter, Anthony Richardson, and you're going to take away his best playmaker to help the rookie?
He's got DeAndre Hopkins.
No, that's the Titans.
That's the Titans.
He's got Michael Pittman Jr. Is very good. But still, Jonathan Taylor makes Anthony Richardson's life so much easier. If I'm a defender, I got to key in on both who have the ability to run, right? Read options, thing like that.
Game, yeah.
That's why I think Jonathan Taylor's staying in Indy.
I think Irsay is a skis ball. I think he is like a slimy person to deal with, and I think this is all intentional. This man on a podium 2 weeks ago said that if I died and Jonathan Taylor died in a plane crash tomorrow together, nobody would care and life would move on. We're fine without Jonathan Taylor. And by the way, never pay running backs.
I mean, if I die tonight and Jonathan Taylor's out of the league, no one's going to miss us. The league goes on. I mean, we know that. The National Football rolls on. It doesn't matter, who comes and who goes.
And then he just crapped all over running back pay. And he's like, and now this is a man who's come up and been like, the Colts are seeking a first-round pick. You're like, excuse me? Or equivalent to, you're like, what? Yeah. In what world am I giving you a first-round? Teams aren't even spending now, I would say that, first off, the one thing that we need to understand about the league is they are not the same as the analytics or us as far as running back value. Because teams are still dumber than we are related to that. You know how I know that? 2 teams took a running back in the top 15 this year. They traded up for guys like Bijan Robinson. And look, he might be great.
Yeah, I think he might be the rookie of the year this year.
Fine.
Yeah.
He might be the rookie of the year. But in the end, is it going to make the Falcons a Super Bowl contending team? Hell no. They don't have a quarterback, man. Desmond Ridder is starting for that squad.
But as you know, they can ask for whatever they want. I mean, Jim Irsay can ask for a first-round pick. We don't know how this goes.
Take a third.
All of a sudden,
if you
they
want
settle.
Gone, take a third.
So I have no problem with him saying he wants a first. I think he's not getting that. And again, I don't think he gets traded. Do you guys, Drew, do you think he's actually not playing?
So.
I think he will be in a Colts uniform come week 1. Because I think that if you think about it.
In-season trade's not out of the question, is it?
Well, if you think, if they're not good, I mean, maybe. But even still, I think, I recognize that Jonathan Taylor is the best back in the NFL probably. He's so good. But given the way that the NFL teams view them and having a couple of good running backs that you can utilize in multiple places and ways instead of Jonathan Taylor, who primarily is a runner, I don't know if a team that's a contender will really pay that.
I think you have to be a desperate team. Miami, Chicago, they have you have to have both the cap space or a way to work the cap space and desperation. And we have to keep this in mind any team we see this with. Like, it worked out for the Rams, and it very rarely does. I'll say maybe 1 out of 20 times where it pays off. But when you are desperate, when you are Buffalo even to a point, right? When you are these desperate teams, you will make these moves in the hope that the 1-year payoff is worth it. And especially when you're these teams when's the last time Miami won a Super Bowl? When's the last time Chicago was even in an NFC title game? They were in the Super Bowl, with Devin Hester returning the kick? So they got that. That was 20 years ago now, probably. I mean, it's longer ago than you think. And so when you start becoming desperate and you're like a general manager of a team trying to figure out where you are, and you got a quarterback in Justin Fields that you're trying to evaluate, and Ryan Poles is, you might take that chance. But it's not going to be any of these teams, It's not going to be any of these teams, and they're going to probably I think they're going to want to try to trade for him and be like, hey, can we just pay you after this year too? Swear? Rather than give him the money right now.
If I'm a GM, we can talk about the running back dynamics in a league, and they think they're underpaid, and that's fine. If I'm a GM, I'm operating the same way. Maybe I wouldn't have gone about the way Jim Irsay, the owner, went publicly, making the comments he did, but
not a good negotiation.
I wouldn't be paying my running back top-end money, plain and simple. And Jonathan Taylor's great, but he's also coming off an injury, and I'm just not paying that position that kind of money. And there'll be somebody down the road will. Maybe it's in the trade now. I don't think so. I think he's going to have to wait till the offseason to see where that settles in. And I think it'd be a mistake for the Colts, though, to let him walk. Not help out my rookie quarterback. If I'm Anthony Richardson, I need Jonathan Taylor back there.
I'm more willing to pay my running back good money if I feel like it's my only path to success, as in they're my best player on the field, which is kind of the case with the Colts. That's not the case in Miami. Jonathan Taylor just be another one of many good offensive players. They got tons of offensive talent. In Chicago, Moore has been a very good but you could make an argument. Jonathan Taylor's immediately your biggest playmaker on offense outside of your running quarterback. He's your biggest playmaker immediately. It's why teams like Titans paid DeAndre Hopkins what they paid him, or any of these other inflated deals, like in Baltimore when they paid Odell Beckham Jr. Desperate teams will do desperate things. So I think there will be plenty of interest for Jonathan Taylor. I just think the Colts intentionally set it up where a deal to get done would be very hard.
Yep.
Just financially, timing, draft pick compensation. They're putting a million barriers in front of it on purpose.
Yeah, the only team that even can, to me, have a conversation about it, though, you mentioned 2 teams. They have quarterbacks on rookie deals. The only way I can pay a running back top-end money to me is my quarterback's on a rookie deal. That's the only scenario where I make it make sense financially, in my opinion.
Or they are at least...
Otherwise, it's a mistake.
Or I think Drew meant, or they're Christian McCaffrey, where at least you're making the argument
what's their quarterback situation?
They're essentially a wide receiver.
Rookie deal for their quarterback out there, too.
All their quarterbacks.
Right? I mean, so...
Both of them.
Trey Lance is a high-paid rookie quarterback.
Sam Darnold's not. It's the only guy not on a rookie deal.
But
Trey Lance is.
That's how you can pay your running back that kind of money.
Trey Lance probably makes, quadruple Brock Purdy's money?
Yeah, probably.
Well, and as somebody brought up in the chat, when's the last time that someone won a Super Bowl with a top-tier paid running back? I mean, I can't...
Yeah, that's
paid running back? Oh, yeah, no, it's
floated around.
Nothing.
I don't know the exact number, but the stats floated around. There's only, over the last 13 years, I think 2 or 3 times, the running back made over $3 million or something. Yeah, I don't know. It's something like that.
That also might be the league average pay for running backs. The pay is less important to me than the resources you pour into it. Because there have been teams who have been successful or gotten to Super Bowls with rookie running backs they gave good draft assets to. They never make good money. For instance, the Chiefs have won a Super Bowl since they spent a first-round pick at running back, right? It's not because of him, but they still spent a high-value draft pick, and it didn't stop them from winning a Super Bowl. Taylor, the funny thing about him is he's not the reason you're not going to win the Super Bowl. So if you're in this for a 2-off-year situation because you're Miami and you think you got maybe 2 years of keeping Tua's brain intact before, maybe you take that chance. But it's got to be those cases.
Yeah, dating back to 2009, the leading rusher on the Super Bowl winning team, an average base salary of around $1.1 million.
Yeah, a lot of rookie ones.
All right, let's get to the random question of the day.
Random question.
Chiefs are not helping that number, by the way. Damian Williams and Clyde both not making very much. And they were probably, leading rusher last year was Pacheco. He's making even less out of that. For you, Gold. For you, Drew, over in the text line, 913-586-7610. I'm confident Drew is too young to remember this movie. Gold, I think you might be too young, too.
How far back? How old are you? How far back are we going here?
The 90s.
Okay. Well,
Drew was born in the 2000?
No, I was born 1995.
He's not 20. He's 26.
He was. Okay.
I was born in 91. So okay. If what
back to
year?
The 90s.
Okay.
It was probably like 95, 94,
okay, so
95.
I was 4. Okay.
I remember seeing this movie in the theater when I was in elementary school, so I definitely remember it. So the question is, do you have any interest in a sequel to the movie Good Burger?
Oh, hey, Jackson! Hey, man, you almost car-burgered me to death. The new adventures of Ed and Dex starts now! Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can we take your order? He's a kid, she's a kid, Rob is a... Water? I think so. Oh, yeah, that's water. None for me, thanks.
Okay, so
do I have any interest? Are you kidding me, Cody? It came out in '97. I was 6. I went to theaters to see this movie. I had the
when
orange.
You were 6?
I had the orange.
I wasn't sure you were going to be old enough to remember Good Burger.
I had the orange VHS tape. That's right, Nickelodeon orange VHS tape.
I remember those.
Of Good Burger. So absolutely, the Mondo Burger. Are you kidding me? Absolutely, it was one of my favorite movies as a kid. I'm all about this.
I'm surprised. I'm surprised you remember Good Burger.
Oh yeah, man.
Because you seem too old to have really appreciated like the heyday of Snick. That was my childhood, right? Are You Afraid of the Dark? Yep. Salute Your Shorts. Hey, Dude. This was like the window of my Nickelodeon soul. Your age and Drew's age, I feel like you guys talk about shows I don't even know, like the Wild Thornberries or something, or whatever the hell that one was.
Yeah, but this wasn't a TV show.
We're a different generation of Nickelodeon.
This wasn't, yeah, but I still remember watching All That, which was a show on Nickelodeon. This also was a movie. So even if you didn't see it right when it came out in '97, I guarantee most of our listeners, even if they're in their 20s.
Did you also see like Harriet the Spy?
Absolutely. I had that VHS as well.
So even though you were too young to really have appreciated them probably when they were released, you're saying these were regulars in the Gold household.
Yeah, no. So Good Burger, I was definitely a fan of that movie at the time, and I'll watch the sequel.
I never saw Good Burger, but Keenan and Kel, I feel like is a, it is appealing. You look and you obviously see both of them in the preview, and I will see it. I know my wife loves Keenan and Kel, so I think that's a yes.
Kel loves orange soda. All that.
Is your wife similar in age to you?
Yeah, she was born in '96. I was born in '95. So she might have seen Good Burger 1. I have no idea, but I have not.
You've never seen Good Burger.
What's the plot?
It's not that crazy.
What's the plot on this one though? Like, what are they saying?
Who's the villain?
Like, is there some other burger place that's trying to take down Good Burger?
I am not familiar with the plot. Someone's like, the text line's like, everybody's familiar with Good Burger. I'm like, everyone? I mean, I get it. Keenan has gone on to an incredibly successful career. He has been on SNL. He's like he was the longest standing for a long time.
Here's the plot. So, Good Burger 2, Dexter and Ed, the duo comes back together. New group of employees. According to the release, Dexter Reed is down on his luck after another one of his inventions fails. Oh. There you go. Can't wait.
That's a callback from the first movie.
Yeah.
Do you do double feature? You're going to watch? So if you're going to go see Good Burger 2.
Well, it's not in theaters. This is streaming only, I believe.
But you
I think this is on.
watch.
I think it's on Peacock or something. I can't remember what it is.
I feel like as long as it's been since I've seen the original Good Burger, and it's been a very long time, I would assume that you have to
Paramount
watch,
Plus. Sorry.
I think you have to watch the original before you watch this one, don't you? Otherwise, you're not going to remember all the callbacks. Even if you've seen it, you're not going to remember all the callbacks.
I think if you've seen Good Burger before, you don't have to watch it again before Good Burger 2, but why not? Now, if you've never seen the original Good Burger, then I'll be honest, you probably don't need to watch Good Burger 2. You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, like, the only reason why it's nostalgic. It's nostalgic for me. So, like, that's why I want to see Good Burger 2. But if you've never seen it, I don't think you're jumping to sign up for Paramount Plus to see the sequel.
Somebody's mentioning all the other shows. Guts, The Secret World of Alex Mack. These are
Guts.
all
Well,
the
Guts
ones
is
I
great.
watched.
Guts
had
is
a good
great.
run.
Yeah,
had a long
Guts
run.
is great. Yeah, I was a big fan of Guts.
I watched more All That than specifically Kenan and Kel, because that was like the second airing of that show that came a few years later, right? Like when it was just like their show standalone. What happened to it? What's Kel doing in between the Good Burger movies? He didn't have quite the career that Kenan did.
Kel Mitchell. What's his latest
I don't know.
project? I don't know. I was trying to see if he's been in anything else recently. Nothing that we've heard of, I don't think.
I mean,
he was on Saturday Night Live back in 2022, last year.
Oh,
Dancing with the Stars? He was runner-up? Okay.
Wait, what?
That's what it says.
Oh my God, he pretty much just like stopped acting. Also, did All That go until 2020? Was that on the air till 2020, or is IMDb lying to me?
They brought it back, I believe.
Okay. I was gonna ask and he was on 61 episodes of something called Game Shakers. Is anybody? They made 61 episodes of this show, and I've never even heard of it. A live-action sitcom about 12-year-old girls who start a multi-million-dollar gaming company and take on a rap superstar Double G as a business partner. I might start watching the show tonight. It sounds so dumb.
Someone says, Cody, my man, we live in a day and age where movies from any time are easily accessible. Born in 97, absolutely love Good Burger, seen it 15 times. I've probably seen Good Burger like 5 or 6.
It was not easily accessible. You had to own the VHS or check it out from Blockbuster.
I think what they're saying is now when we reference, hey, you might have been too young, like there's no limitations to that anymore.
But I don't think my kids I tried. So dead
we're
serious.
about Casablanca or something here, which by the way, also very easy to see.
But so my kids, occasionally I've got the projector that we use on the outside. It's too hot.
On your fourth deck or your first deck?
I don't know how we order them, but maybe third if we count from the front.
Okay.
Second, I don't know, whatever. But so they'll ask watch movies out there sometimes, but it was way too hot. It's like, we're not doing that. But I brought it inside, and I'll just put it on the wall, right?
That's cool. Yeah.
And so I put the projector on the wall, and they were trying to decide between the movie. I tried to convince them because they've been asking to go watch the new Ninja Turtles movie. We're going to do it later this week. I said, hey, do you want to watch the Ninja Turtles movie I watched as a kid? Showed them the trailer. Not interested. Just not going to. She said, the Ninja Turtles look weird, and then show something else. That was it.
They're spoiled by all the great animation stuff now, live action and all that stuff.
I feel like
take it.
I feel like once you get into the 2000s, that's where you're probably too young to know this. Because I was born in the 90s. VHS tapes were amazing. We were all about VHS tapes. Those are great DVDs, you know?
Maybe that's our cutoff. If you're born in the year 2000 or after, then you'd be like, we don't know what you're talking about.
I feel like that's what it is.
Because there's a certain age that you mentioning an orange VHS tape is not going to hit.
But yeah, Nickelodeon, the orange.
With a lot of our listeners.
Never forget about the orange Nickelodeon tape they did for a couple of their movies. Harriet the Spy, as you brought up, and Good Burger, I think were the two they came out with that were orange.
My in-laws still have 4, just in their basement. Nobody ever touches them. Every old Disney movie forever, full of those things. All the VHS tapes. It's but nobody owns a VCR.
No. Heck, we were having a discussion off air. Not many people even have DVD players anymore. Maybe you have a console, a game console that you play your Blu-ray. But honestly, because of streaming, you don't need it anymore.
It's probably been 10 years. I used to have just like anybody else, right? I loved watching movies, so I had 1 million DVDs in your house. It was 200 or 250 of them. And then sometime 10 years ago, after really thinking about what it was digitize them, was I going to sell? Go try to get $100 for them, whatever. Eventually, one day, I was like, I cannot look at these ever again. And I put them in a garbage can and never saw them. You didn't just directly into a dump.
You didn't list them on Facebook Marketplace, here, free pickup or something.
I was thinking about the amount of work it would take. If you've ever listed I'm just going to give you a tip. If you ever listed anything for free, and I have a couple of times on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, it's actually worse than listing it for a price. The amount of people that be like, hey man, can you just bring that in your house? Hold on, that's not what it is, man. It's free. It's first come, first serve. It's well, can I call you ahead of time to see if it's still there when I leave work? No. Either come and check to see if it's here or don't. When it's gone, I will remove the listing.
Yeah.
I'm at work. No, I will not set it aside for you or personally phone you to let you know if this thing I'm offering you for free is still available. No chance.
People saying Rugrats also had an orange VHS.
The Rugrats movie?
Yeah, Rugrats classic.
Someone said, do you own a VCR, Cody? No, I haven't owned a VCR in a very, very long time. Since, I don't know, I don't think I ever bought one in my adult. When I moved out at 18, I don't think I ever had a VCR.
Yeah, I never owned one.
I didn't even have the VCR DVD combo. The last one I remember having is my TV in my childhood bedroom, 13 inches, had a VCR in it. As you guys remember, those little tube TVs had the VCR in it. That was a big deal.
Absolutely.
It was a good score.
It was.
13-inch tube TV. thing probably weighed 400 pounds.
Yes.
There was just a lot of work for those. That's it. That's my random question today. I was actually convinced. I thought Drew would have no idea, and he has some idea. He's at least heard of the movie. He just hasn't seen it. And you, it sounds like it was one of your childhood favorites.
It was. I saw that trailer come out last night. I was very excited. That's the random question of the day. Coming up next, though, we'll talk some Chiefs football. Nate Taylor, it's that time of the year again where he's going to start coming in every Tuesday to talk football. We'll get his thoughts on where things are at with Chris Jones. What's he hearing about when Chris Jones could show back up to KC?
Cody and Gold on 610 Sports Radio, brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
You can get a new career in as little as 4 months, and our friends over at Centric can make sure you're in one.
Look, if you're thinking about a career change, you also want to make sure you're going to the right place that has the relationships that are needed. And Centric does. With over 1,500 different companies in the Kansas City area, they can help you find that job in the future. They also make sure they have the most up-to-date curriculum because of those relationships.
Classes are starting at the end of August. Alex and I love technology, so do you. Go to Centric.com/610. It's that easy. Our guy, Russ Mondry, will find that new career for you.
We're hiring residential garage door installers at Overhead Door Company of Kansas City. Join the team trusted here since 1927. Apply today. Get a call today. No experience necessary. Paid training for motivated applicants to install garage doors. Hiring bonus up to $2,500. Mechanical, carpentry, or service industry experience is a plus. Good benefits include health, dental, vision, and pension. Earn as you learn to service the best garage door customers in KC. Apply today at overheaddoorkc.com.
School is starting and so is football. Make it easy with Old Shawnee Pizza and their Tuesday special. Any single topping pizza is just $12.99. Call or go to ShawneePizza.com to order. Old Shawnee Pizza, Shawnee, Lenexa, and now carry out in the Crossroads.
Tailgates and turkey? Yes, please. This season, score a touchdown with U.S. soy-fed turkey. Versatile, tasty, and truly different, turkey is always a winner. You can get all the recipes and register for a chance to win the ultimate prize pack at tailgatewithturkey.com. You'll be the pride of the parking lot.
We have James and Josiah from American Topsoil. Guys, what month is best for planting new grass?
Any month that ends in R. Laying down fresh soil before seeding is the best way to get ahead of the game. Our rich topsoil is great for leveling yards, and our pulverized soil creates a perfect seed bed for new grass.
So how do I know how much soil I need?
Our Power Wheelbarrow service assures that our customers are getting the exact amount of soil they need, exactly where they need it, and that's all they'll pay for.
How can I set up my delivery with American Topsoil?
Visit AmericanTopsoil.com or give us a call at 913-888-SOIL.
American Topsoil, family owned and operated with more than 30 years, delivering great topsoil with their hassle-free Power Wheelbarrow service. Call 913-888-SOIL. That's 913-888-SOIL. Or online at AmericanTopsoil.com. Great topsoil, great service, American Topsoil.
Hey guys, Beat Up here from Fesco in the Morning, wrapping up week number 12 of the Slim for Life program, down 62 pounds already. Can you imagine losing 15% of your body fat? Well, Slim for Life has made it possible and affordable by partnering with a prestigious compound pharmacy so you can take advantage of the new semaglutide medications that all the celebrities are taking for only $99 this month. On Slim for Life's medical plan, medical professionals are with you every step of the way to help you achieve your weight loss goals with these life-changing new medications. The safest and most effective approach to achieving sustainable weight loss. It's now time to look better and feel better, just like me. Improve your health, have tons of energy. Now you can join the other 100,000 clients like myself in Kansas City that said, I did it, I'm Slim for Life. Call 833-SLIM today to start your semaglutide meds for only $99 this month. And when you tell them that you heard it from Beat Up and 610 Sports Radio and schedule that free consultation, you can win tickets to see our defending Super Bowl champions play on September 7th. So hit them online at slim4life.com. Exclusive of products, shipping may apply.
Hey, this is Rex with KC Real Estate Buyers, and I buy houses for cash. If you own a property in the Kansas City or surrounding area and want to sell it fast and at a fair price, grab a pencil. I'm going to give you a very important phone number in 40 seconds. I'm a private real estate investor. I live right here in KC, and I can pay cash and close on your timeline, even in as little as 3 days. Here at KC Real Estate Buyers, we are improving Kansas City one house at a time. I buy inherited houses, vacant houses, foreclosure houses, behind in payment houses, my tenant won't pay the rent houses, and properties that need complete rehabs. Do you own a house that's trashed and needs thousands of dollars in repairs? Great. If you own a house and want to sell it fast, call me at this number, 816-330-6000. That's 816-330-6000. Or go to rexbuyskc.com. That's rexbuyskc.com. And I look forward to working with you.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. That's ZipRecruiter.com/RADIO. ZipRecruiter.com/radio. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
When people have a craving to explore new and traditional Asian cuisines, they head to P.F. Chang's, where scratch-made dishes come from the 2,000-year-old tradition of wok cooking. P.F. Chang's wanted to explore new possibilities for their website. They turned to AmericanEagle.com. AmericanEagle.com re-architected P.F. Chang's website, integrating multiple third-party systems to create a unified digital experience. The results? Improved page speed and performance, personalized content based on users' location, intuitive online ordering, an increase in organic search visibility, and a 40% increase in new users. For scratch-made Asian cuisine, visit your local P.F. Chang's or go to pfchangs.com for website design, development, digital marketing, and hosting that produce efficiency, revenue, and results. Visit AmericanEagle.com. P.F. Chang's and AmericanEagle.com. Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
Fesco in the Morning wants to get you a $500 Hy-Vee gift card just for remembering your favorite Chiefs touchdowns. Be listening mornings all week at 6:55 and 7:05 for a Chiefs highlight. But the name will be bleeped out. You guess the Chief to get qualified. One winner will receive a $500 gift card to Hy-Vee.
You're listening to 610 Sports Radio from the Max Motors Studios. Miss anything while you were at work? Every show is available on demand at 610sports.com and the Odyssey app. 610 Sports Radio. KCSP Kansas City. WDAF HD2 Liberty. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
1 o'clock hour. Cody and Gold here on a Tuesday. Alex Gold, Cody Tapp, producer Drew. Expected to have Nate Taylor join us in the next couple of minutes. Getting in that football mode, man. So we'll start getting our regular weekly guests and appearances. Nate Taylor on Tuesdays, 1 o'clock hour. Pete Sweeney on Fridays. Dana Hughes on Thursdays. Paul Charchian this Thursday, by the way, starts up our fantasy football conversation with Charch. We got our
I'm already going through personal fantasy football questions.
We've been talking off air. We also, again, have filled our Cody and Gold Guillotine League. If you're in the league, if you head to the Guillotine site, by the way, there's a message there. Draft is next Wednesday night. We've got a question we're asking you about where you want the draft to be. So it's online, but we're going to do it at Jefferson's again. They got 2 locations now, though. So we want to make it fair for everybody. So if majority of the league is closer to the Lenex location, we'll do it there. If the majority of the league is North KC, we'll just go back to the North KC location. Last time they only had the 1 location. Now we got a couple options. But next Wednesday night, going to be a lot of fun. The Cody and Gold Guillotine League. And you just want to make sure, Drew, you're not out week 1, man. You don't want to be out week 1. All that work in the draft and done just like that.
I've never been in a Guillotine League before, so I'm really excited for this.
I love the format.
It really is. Strategy.
I understand that because Charge comes in. I just like it for workplace. I think that's the league. You got family, you got friends, you got these big dynasty leagues, Gold, we've all been a part of. Okay. Workplace where Jimmy can't set his lineup in week 7. Makes some awful trade in week 11.
Yeah, Jimmy.
Doesn't set his roster for like 10 weeks, and then all of a sudden, only against you when you got a playoff spot on the line, decides to finally start participating. No. Those guys are eliminating Guillotine. Week 2 or 3, slouch on your team and it's gone. Spend too much of your money early, you might be gone. But at least you can fix your roster. In fantasy, I know you can like waiver claim, but there's no league where you can more equalize your roster than Guillotine.
A lot of strategy.
You can survive.
You burn through that $1,000 early because you panicked because you had the second low score week 1, or do you save the money and hope you can stack up the roster later?
Depends on why I had it, you know?
That's right. I mean, look, if you draft your quarterback is Mahomes, and then you don't have a backup, you might have to spend some money in free agency for the guy that got knocked out that happened to have a top QB. So anyway, Guillotine League. We'll start talking to Charch on Thursday about all that. I know a lot of you probably already doing your fantasy football drafts. We'll start also talking a little bit more fantasy football in general on the show, and we'll do the show bet again. We're getting into the football season, man. We'll have to do a show bet, try to make some money this year.
Did we? We actually should probably track it.
Oh, we will this year.
Like track it, because we did win. Like if you include all the golf bets, we're up.
Well, sure.
We're up as a show.
We'll track. We'll do the again.
Not so good during the football season.
Two leg. We did like a show parlay, separate from our individual bets that we make. But we do a Cody and Gold, like 2-leg parlay. We'll start doing that on Fridays, I think, during football season. And we'll get some listeners involved in one of the legs for the parlay as well, and try to build up a little bit of a show fund. Might have to guest bartend again too if we run out of money.
Yeah. So if you got a spot, actually, just to start with enough money, because I spent it all on the camera stuff and.
Wait, how much is left in the show fund?
Well, it was at 0, but we've recently.
Oh yeah, Drew doesn't know about this.
But we've recently got an infusion of cash. We got like a little over $100. You know.
You call that an infusion? That's an infusion.
Cash infusion.
That's the infusion of cash.
Drew
doesn't know that.
$100,
We've been keeping the money there, kind of keeping track. There's some doubt in the treasurer's responsibilities in accurate accounting. The only reason why we're letting Cody continue, Drew, to handle the money is because let Cody handle the tax ramifications. You can handle the tax ramifications.
Yeah, that's probably
all right. I believe we have Nate Taylor on the phone. We will, throughout football season, have him usually in studio. But, man, he's probably had to take a couple showers after practice today, watching the Chiefs practice. It is hot. It is humid. Nate Taylor from The Athletic joining us. You survived practice?
Barely.
Yeah.
But, yes. Yeah. Yeah, man, we're in the mode of taking multiple showers. So, no, I appreciate you all having me on. And look, I can tell the audience, tomorrow's it, guys. Tomorrow's the last day that reporters will get to watch practice in its entirety. Because obviously after the cut on Tuesday, you go into game week, and of course, per Andy Reid's prerogative, we can't watch all of practice ahead of a regular season or, postseason game. But, yeah, tomorrow appears to be the last day, I believe, where I'll get to see the ones, the twos, and the threes.
So all of a sudden, that means next week then, that's actually when the good stuff comes out. The real plays that actually matter start being shown a little bit more. Justin Ross will become the number one wide receiver immediately, right? That's what I'm led to believe.
Something like that. What's funny is I can sort of tell when they do install plays that are going to be, at least foundational in terms of formation and obviously personnel groupings. You can kind of tell those things even now. You can tell a little bit in St. Joseph, but yeah, I mean, it's fascinating because Andy Reid has not, said, and we assume we'll get that tomorrow after tomorrow's practice, but he hasn't said whether the starters are going to play or not. I would be surprised if they play much in Saturday's preseason finale versus the Cleveland Browns, but you can already tell probably in the coaching meetings, some of the film sessions, that they're obviously working ahead for the Detroit Lions on September 7th.
I'm going to give you a list of 4 players, Nate. You tell me if they play week 1. Kadarius Toney, Isaiah Pacheco. How about Pacheco?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
L'Jarius Sneed?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not sure.
Exactly.
The last time I saw L'Jarius Sneed practice, fellas, my son was 7. He's 8 now. So I don't know when L'Jarius Sneed's going to be available. Now, to his credit, he's been watching these practices, so he's doing more than, say, Chris Jones at the moment. But I don't know if – it's funny, Andy Reid said that there's been, swelling in the knee, which is kind of the same issue that really Tershawn Wharton has had. He's coming off an ACL injury, so, his timetable is obviously a little bit different. But, yeah, I don't anticipate Sneed's going to play Saturday against the Cleveland Browns, so he will have no preseason snaps, which means I think he is in jeopardy of missing the first week of the season.
Like, if Steve Spagnuolo is going to say today, and we can talk about Chris Jones in a minute, but if Steve Spagnuolo is going to say today, Chris Jones won't play every down until he's in game shape, then Snead hasn't practiced an equal amount of time. Like, I mean, he's been out just as long, except for the differences. Chris Jones can still just work out regularly. L'Jarius Sneed can't.
Right. And the issue, I think, too, is, L'Jarius Sneed was on the practice fields for the opening day of, full pads. And that's when the knee issue sort of arose. And it really hasn't, the Chiefs have been very cautious with him ever since. And, guys, that's almost about a month. I have tried to keep track, but, understanding the situation right now, they're bringing, I'm sure you guys maybe discussed this earlier, but today with Steve Spagnuolo saying that we as the coaching staff is what he was saying, that they have overloaded and tried to bring Chamari Connors through as quickly as possible, that tends to suggest that, hey, man, the reason why you saw Chamari Connor in the slot, in the nickel position in the preseason game last week against the Arizona Cardinals is sort of an emergency in case L'Jarius Sneed is not back for week 1 against the Detroit Lions. So, hey, maybe things change because you still have, almost 2 weeks of preparation for L'Jarius Sneed. But he's going to have to be, sort of brought up quickly, and that knee swelling is going to have to stay down just because he really hasn't been with his teammates even before the preseason started.
Whether he's available week 1 or not, it has this bad feeling of, hey, we're going to have to manage this knee throughout the season. Like, he plays week 2 and he plays week 3, and then, oh man, that knee's swelling up and he sits out for 2 games. And then he's available again. And we know it's a contract year for L'Jarius Sneed, which, if you were to ask me before camp, would he get a deal with the Chiefs? I probably still would have said it wasn't a great chance. If they're going to have to manage this knee and this is actually what he's going to deal with for the long haul, this is it for Sneed.
Yeah, the real test, and I'll tell this to everybody now, the real test will be not this upcoming Sunday, but it'll be the next Sunday. So basically 8 days from now, L'Jarius Sneed needs to make real progress to be ready for practice, which will be that Sunday leading up to, obviously, the September 7th game against the Detroit Lions. The way I understand it right now is the team will practice Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and then obviously you have an off day on Wednesday, and then you play on Thursday. So it's starting to wind down for both L'Jarius Sneed and obviously Chris Jones as well. We all know this. They're 2 of the best defensive players that the Chiefs had last year. Still 2 of the best players on the roster right now on the defensive side. But I think it's fascinating that they have basically said, hey, as of right now, if they were to play the Lions today, Trent McDuffie is your best outside cornerback. You have Joshua Williams as the number 2 guy. And then you have basically a rookie you took on day 3 of the draft as your nickel cornerback. It's not ideal, and Steve Spagnuolo, while impressed with what Chamari Connors has done already, understands that he's not playing with a full deck of cards in his hand.
Speaking of Nate Taylor here on Cody and Gold, Chris Jones, is there an update? This is about the time, Nate, where at least from other teams would be like, they're expected to have Chris Jones report to camp in the next week. I haven't even heard that yet, so what is the most recent update on whether or not Chris Jones is going to turn this holdout in training camp into actual missed games?
Look, guys, I'm working. I'm doing the best I can. It's crickets. Just for our listeners, I was at the station yesterday just having a nice little chit-chat with everybody. Nice to see everyone. It was kind of my celebratory, training camp's over. I'm back in the studio kind of things as we get ready for the regular season. You guys were all there. Obviously, Carrington, Jay, Dusty. I looked at all you guys, and I said, I don't know. I think, if I were advising Chris Jones, I would say you probably got to be there tomorrow. I know it says it's 105, man. It's time to show up. Okay? I think this has probably been said before, but if not, I'll just remind people here, tomorrow's the last, camp practice that they can really have because they are obviously going to play Saturday against the Cleveland Browns. Then you're going to have the cuts on Tuesday, obviously the worst day in the NFL calendar when hundreds of guys who have given, everything they've had to this dream of playing in the NFL, they're going to be told that they didn't make the initial team's roster. Then you got the wire and the waiver claims on Wednesday. And then basically you got to be there on Thursday because by Friday the game plan's in. And we got to know if you're here. And we got to know how many snaps you can play. And we got to know how good of shape you're in physically before we even get to discuss football shape. Then you get Sunday, Monday, Tuesday to go through the practice to see what you are actually capable of doing with some level of pads on, knowing that you know the defense, knowing that you know what your responsibilities are. The Chiefs would be alleviated if Chris Jones showed up tomorrow. I have no indications that that is actually going to happen. So as we move forward, it's going to get more contentious. It's going to get more frustrating on both sides. I did see today's tweet from Chris Jones, basically leaving it up into God's hands. But look, man, you got agents, and the Chiefs have a front office. And look, I thought at this point maybe we'd hear some positive rumblings from either side or maybe from both sides, but it's really been cricket. So that either leads you to one or two, resolutions or outcomes at this point. Either these sides are so deep into the weeds on a contract discussion that they don't want to let anyone understand where they really are, or the contract negotiations have gotten so deep and so thorough and so just nauseating that you realize no one's willing to make a move. And we might be in the second ladder of this, with the team still understanding that they have, and I tend to agree with this, that the team has most of the leverage because they know Chris more than likely needs to show up for week one. You can't hold out and not get your deal and think that things are going to change by week 2 or week 3. I just don't see Clark Hunt and Andy Reid being in the same category as like Jerry Jones and, Jason Garrett back in the Ezekiel Elliott days. Now, it helped Ezekiel that he scores touchdowns, that he actually helped the offense move the ball down the field. But until proven otherwise, I have no reason to believe that the Chiefs' best offer is probably this week. I don't think it's going to get better past this week.
I'm with you on the what does he have to gain if it's closer to week 1 and then you make a decision to not show up for week 1. Not only is there an increase in fine and game check, I should say, for not showing up, but he would then be playing on his final year of a contract in which he still wants to get a new deal next year, whether it's from the Chiefs or somebody else. Like, I think missing games would only hurt you into the future. I get it. He's been playing his leverage right now, missing camp and all that. I got no problem with that. But when you start impacting the regular season, not only is it hurting your team then, but I think you are hurting yourself here in about 3 weeks.
Yeah. And look, there's the interpersonal part of this, right? Let's take Andy Reid out of the equation. Let's take Brett Veach out of the equation. Let's take Clark Hunt. The dudes in the locker room understand your value. The dudes in the locker room are ready to win. They are ready to defend their title as Super Bowl champs. You are their best player. They all acknowledge that. We talked to Mike Dana today, and Mike Dana's like, look, man, we know Chris. He's great. But if he's not there on September 7th, then we have problems. So think about it from the locker room standpoint. Think about Joe Cullen, who said publicly in front of all the cameras, in my face, fellas, he told me that Chris Jones was the best offensive player last year. And I looked at Joe Cullen and said, did he not realize that Nick Bosa was on a football field last year? The Chiefs have done everything to try to placate this as best they can. But from an interpersonal standpoint, camp ends tomorrow. The season starts Thursday. The real season starts next Sunday. It is only going to get worse. And in terms of responsibility and trying to get the contract you want and trying to prove your value, you could go the other way. I just don't think it's necessarily smart, and I don't think it's financially logical, because I just want to remind everybody, every day that this man is not with the team, he is foregoing $50,000. We're close to getting to like the $2 to $3 million in fines that he will have to pay whenever he shows up. Again, the team is waiting on you. I know the contract has not gone as well as you thought it would, but the season, like the calendar just forces you to make a decision, or make you, I would say, come to the reality that like it's time to play football and it's time to be the defensive leader that everybody's asked you to be. And the Chiefs, I guess to their credit, have not been publicly like criticizing Chris, but I think internally with each day passing, I think the frustration just grows and grows.
Well, except Andy. He's not been publicly criticizing, but he's clearly peeved. And everybody knows when Andy's, like, annoyed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that hasn't been a secret. I also think Chris Jones should show up tomorrow and then just for a show of good faith, give this show $50,000. You know? He's already been paying all this money. Might as well let us make good use of it with all the stupidity we do. Nate, there is one thing about the roster that at least as the cutdown day is just a week away. Something's got to give. I've heard been like, hey, they could just keep 4 tight ends and 4 running backs and 7 wide receivers. And you're telling me they might need an extra corner because Snead's here. Roster-wise, where are these surprise things going to happen? Are they going to get rid of Bushman or Ross? Are they going to go less running backs and there will be no Pirine? Where are these squeeze plays going to happen on the roster as you see it?
Yeah, if it was my guess right now, based on what I've seen, I think it really is at the running back and tight end position. I know Andy Reid floated the idea about 7 receivers, but with the understanding that you have to keep Kadarius Toney on the roster for the initial cut down before you put him on IR, if that's what you want to do, which is short-term IR, you miss maybe 3 or 4 games, then I think 7 wide receivers is pretty solid right now. Obviously, I'm assuming all this if there are no injuries in Saturday's preseason finale. That I believes Michael P. Ryan and Matt Bushman kind of in a one-on-one situation. They're going to both get plenty of snaps. I think those are the 2 guys who have the most to gain from a great performance on the offensive side of the ball in Saturday's preseason game. And then on the defensive side, look, Chris Jones is going to be on the roster, so you understand that. But what if he's not ready to play week 1? Basically, Steve Spagnuolo said, look, it's not my job, but he ultimately agreed with the idea that maybe I need an extra defensive lineman, at least on the first week, to at least smooth things over because the rotation is just not going to be what it normally is because, again, they don't know how Chris is going to acclimate back into football shape and how many snaps of quality he can give them for the Detroit Lions when he does show up. So now all of a sudden you might go from, hey, maybe you have 10 offensive linemen to scratch that, we need 9. I would ask Austin Ryder, who has gotten a lot of reps with the second team, hey, you're a veteran. We're going to cut you. Don't answer your phone. Please come back. I thought that was initially going to be Blake Bell, but I think Blake Bell has solidified his spot as the 3rd tight end now that we understand that Jody Fortson is done for the season. But, yeah, in terms of the cornerback situation, I think the team feels good. It's interesting as to what's going to happen with Nick Jones because he was having a very good camp before he had the fractured fingers in the preseason opener against the New Orleans Saints. They have not put him on IR, so you're wondering, okay, you're probably going to have to keep Nick Jones, but are you, again, going to have to keep an additional defensive back because if Nick Jones goes to, short-term IR, then obviously you need somebody in that place as well. It's another reason why Chamari Connors has sort of really gotten accelerated over the last 2 weeks in terms of his reps and obviously just his snaps with the first-team defense against the Arizona Cardinals last week. So I think Matt Bushman has the most to gain because they're going to throw the football. Shane Buechele has a legitimate chance to be the backup quarterback, so he's going to give you plenty of touches. And if it doesn't work out here from a number standpoint, you are probably one of the best tight ends available if you do get cut on the waiver wire. I think the Chiefs want to keep 4 running backs more so than 4 tight ends, but it really depends on how P. Ryan and Matt Bushman play Saturday against the Cleveland Browns.
Man, P. Ryan versus Bushman. That is what we've all been.
Into the roster stuff,
that's what we're looking forward to.
Look, and the funny thing, too, is I would tell Ryan Poles right now, hey, you know when the waiver claim starts, buddy? Or, hey, I guess I have to look up Amir Smith-Marsette's veteran status because he might just be a straight cut. He may not have to go to waiver. But, hey, when that guy gets cut, you got the first call. And then if that doesn't happen, Eric Bieniemy's waiting on you, okay? And if that doesn't happen, have you guys seen the Colts' 4th or 5th receivers? My God, they are bad. So I don't, Saturday is really cool, too, because it probably will be Amir Smith-Marsette's last game on the roster. But, man, has he had, one of the best camps. And because Justin Ross exists and he has extremely rare skills, he's the 7th receiver right now. And Justin Watson is one of the more consistent receivers that nobody is maybe willing to admit from the fan base's perspective. But guys, he was part of a Super Bowl winning team, and he caught passes for that offense, so he's going to be on the roster. I just think, I can give you the broadcast, fellas. I mean, the big winner is, what does Shane Buechele do? Because I think it's real now. I'm going to write this in The Athletic today. Shane Buechele, ladies and gentlemen, right now, today, is the backup quarterback. It's just a matter of, can he hold on to the job with what he does in this preseason finale against the Cleveland Browns, or does Blaine Gabbert sort of rally right at the finish line? But, based on the way things have played out in practice, and again, tomorrow's the last one I'll get to see from beginning to end, this is Shane Buechele's time. This is his moment to say, I'm ready to be the guy who is the true understudy to Patrick Mahomes. And then after that, it's Matt Bushman and, LaMichael P. Ryan and Deneric Prince and, I don't know, Joshua Kando. I think the linebackers are set. The safeties are set. Maybe Khalif, the cornerback from Western Kentucky. Look, guys, it's football. You'll be there. I'll be there. We're all going to watch it.
Real quick, Nate, then we got to let you go. You kind of floated this out because we brought this up earlier in the show, too, when we were discussing 7 wide receivers. We're like, well, that means Justin Ross. If you're doing 7, that's the only way Justin Ross is on the roster. How do they make this work if they only keep 6? And we said, well, is Kadarius Toney's injury more serious? Could they buy some time? You just mentioned a few minutes ago about IR. Do you think that's a possibility? They could say, you know what? He's not going to be 100% week 1. We feel good about our room. Let's just give him all the time in the world, and let's buy ourselves some more time with the roster.
Yeah, I said this when I was with you guys at training camp, and I tend to agree with it just because there's no need to rush Kadarius Toney. He is a freak athlete who can do marvelous things. You want to see those things, ladies and gentlemen, in October, in November, in December, moving forward. To me, knowing how Andy Reid operates, knowing that he has a 25-year sample size as a head coach, you don't practice, you don't play. And Kadarius Toney has not taken 1 rep in training camp so far. Why in God's earth would you push this man to play on opening day, even if it's a decoy? And honestly, because of this injury, Rashee Rice has gotten more reps than even Sky Moore got last year and has done really well, particularly last week's game against the Cardinals. Justin Ross has shown you that his body has held up through a pretty long training camp. It's held up in 2 preseason games. We'll see a third, obviously, in a few days. He's an incredible route runner for his size. He has good speed, nice hands, looks to be a pretty capable target in the red zone. So you want to progress that. Those 2 guys have sped this along to where I feel like the Chiefs do not need to say, well, it's week 1 and let's see Kadarius Toney on the practice field. Like, it doesn't make any sense to me. If it's a knee injury that requires surgery, why are you throwing him out there 6 weeks later? It happened early in training camp. That gives you enough time that, again, as I said before, and I'll say it again, all that matters is this dude healthy? Kadarius Toney, is he healthy by Halloween? That's all that matters, because the offense is good. But if he's healthy, and obviously Travis Kelce is still who he is, and Pacheco, who we might see on Saturday, but I'm not sure. But if Pacheco does really well, in his second year as the leading running back, then, you drop Kadarius Toney in the middle of the season, and now the offense becomes even more dynamic, even more dangerous. And you didn't rush him, and you actually let Rashee Rice and Justin Watson and Sky Moore get the reps that they need so that they can get in a rhythm with Mahomes in their second years together with him, too. I think people tend to not think about that when they talk about Kadarius Toney. It's not just him. It's for all these receivers who are going into their second year with Mahomes. And I just don't see why it's valuable to take the risk, even if it's a small risk, for him to play a few snaps in September when you're going to need his talent to really come through when the games get even more important as the season progresses.
Nate Taylor from The Athletic, our Chiefs insider. Good to have you back on. We'll be talking each and every week now all the way through, well, hopefully through February.
It's a long season, fellas. I'll be right there with you.
There you go. Nate Taylor. Good stuff as always. Good insight on a variety of things. We'll react a little bit to what he had to say and also get back into the offensive line, which hasn't allowed a single hit on Patrick Mahomes.
You're listening to Cody and Gold.
He's so good, and everyone knows it.
Brought to you by Gann Asphalt and Concrete. For asphalt, concrete, and parking lot maintenance, Gann Asphalt and Concrete. One contractor, all things parking lot. Trusted in Kansas City since 1994. Online at GANNasphalt.com.
Snap into the action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook app. The NFL season is almost here, and get ready with FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. All you need to do is place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel this football season, there's no better time than right now to get in on the action with a super easy-to-use app and quick payouts. And I know that's what you care about the most. You can bet whatever you want on the National Football League, point spreads, player props. I love the over-unders. It's a great time to get those future bets in right now. Visit FanDuel.com/CDOT to kick off this NFL season. FanDuel, an official partner of 610 Sports Radio and also the National Football League. 21 and present in Kansas. First online real money wager only. $10 deposit required. Bonus issue with non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. FanDuel is offering online sports wagering. Kansas under agreement. Kansas Argentina LLC. Gambling problem? Getting help is your best bet. Call 1-800-522-4700. Visit ksgamblinghelp.com.
Hi, I'm Andrew Mackey, an instructor at Centric and an Army veteran. If you're transitioning from active duty or already a veteran and aren't quite sure of your next steps, Centric is a great option for your future. You can use the problem-solving and leadership skills you gained in the military towards a new, exciting career in IT in just 4 months. If you've been looking for a way to get started in the IT field, put your GI Bill to work and start your new career in IT. Go to centric.com/610 for more information. That's CENTRIQ.com/610.
You're always better with a roof from JR.
We've all seen them. As soon as the big storm comes through, the storm-chasing roofers show up. Don't be a victim twice. Call locally owned, veteran-owned JR & Company. No one protects your home and you like JR.
JR's there for you. You're always better with a roof from JR.
In fact, JR & Company can let you know if you even need to be worried about storm damage. Online, visit jrhailcheck.com. Plug in your address and we'll pull a storm report. If there's nothing on the report, we'll give you hassle-free peace of mind. And if it looks like you got hit, we can come out and do a free inspection and help with any insurance claim. We'll never try to sell you a roof you don't need. But if you do need a new roof,
you're always better with a roof from JR.
Go to jrhailcheck.com.
Here's another Outdoor America fishing tip presented by Wholesale Batteries. The right battery the first time. Here's the host of Outdoor America, Tommy Bench.
Square bills. I'm going to say square bill. Throw this is Strike King, 1.5 KVD, 1.5 chartreuse, black back, brown and orange. Those are my two favorite colors. Throw them shallow as you can get, right behind some boulders. As soon as the shoal runs into some deeper water, that's your number one targeting area right there. I'll throw that right against the bank where that water's coming down, hits that bluff wall or hits that bank and turns. Right there is where you're going to catch them, right at that transition. Remember that whenever you catch your next one on a KVD, on a Strike King KVD 1.5. Remember you heard that right here on I hope you send a picture to me. I love hearing other people catch big fish. That is your tip of the week.
Outdoor America with Tommy Bench, heard every Saturday morning at 5 a.m. on 610 Sports Radio, presented by Wholesale Batteries.
Gas, groceries, utilities, you name it, the price of everything is going up, and if you're stuck in a bad timeshare with rising maintenance fees, the financial burden can be crushing. It is time to get your finances in order and get the real facts about that timeshare that you are stuck in and your options to get rid of it. Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, has been helping families out of horrible timeshares for over 10 years and has put together a complete timeshare exit information kit that he will send you absolutely free. To date, over 30,000 families have trusted Wesley Financial Group to help them out of financial hardship by getting them out of bad timeshares. Get the facts about how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation. Simply call Wesley now for your free timeshare exit kit and see how you can become timeshare free. Call 800-462-3333. That's 800-462-3333. Once again, 800-462-3333.
Every business seeks an advantage, whether it's having the best location, hiring top talent, or spotting trends before they happen. And now, the United States Postal Service can give your business a new advantage. Introducing USPS Ground Advantage. Reliable and affordable 2 to 5 day package shipping. It's the advantage you need at the price you want. Get the Ground Advantage at USPS.com/advantage. The United States Postal Service. Delivering for America.
If you have a dog, you might be worried about your good boy being bad for your carpet. But if you had Life-Proof with Pet-Proof Technology carpet, you wouldn't have to worry, even if you had a whole pack of dogs. Because Life-Proof with Pet-Proof Technology delivers permanent built-in stain and soil protection that never washes or wears off. Quiet, sit, good dogs. Life-Proof with Pet-Proof Technology available only at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
Do you have heart failure and often hear,
"Those stomach issues ruined your birthday"?
"You're too tired to play catch, Grandpa."
Sweetie, you haven't touched your tools since the carpal tunnel syndrome diagnosis.
if these seemingly unrelated symptoms sound familiar, talk to your cardiologist. Ask about transthyretin amyloid cardiomyopathy, or ATTR-CM, a rare and underdiagnosed disease that gets worse over time. Learn more at connecttoyourheart.com. That's connecttoyourheart.com. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Lowe's knows how to save pros time and money. Right now, take up to 40% off select bathroom vanities. Plus, get free local truck delivery. And there's more. Get a Kohler White Elongated Water Sense toilet. Now just $199. Was $249. That's a savings of $50. Because Lowe's knows savings. Lowe's knows pros. Vanities offer valid 8/10 through 8/23. While supplies last. Selection varies by location. Kohler offer valid 7/7 through 10/26.
The 610 Sports Radio phone line is brought to you by Onder Law Injury Lawyers. Visit getjim.com.
Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Arvest Bank, proud supporter of your Kansas City Chiefs radio network. Stop by any Arvest branch to find out why banking with Arvest and the Arvest Go mobile app makes life easier. Arvest Bank, proud to be here game day. Let's do this.
What's trending?
All right, let's check in on the hot topics trending.
All right, number one on what's trending. We just got done talking about Chris Jones with Nate Taylor. Well, Chris Jones out there tweeting again, Cody.
Yeah, they're getting bleaker by the minute. I'm not going to lie.
He was responding to a Twitter account that asked basically like, hey, when are you showing up? His response, week 8. Someone from Arrowhead Live, a Twitter account, quote tweeted, said, well, that's a hefty tab because remember, he loses over $1 million a game check. He responded, I can afford it. I mean,
which is not an argument. No one's saying you can't afford it. I'm just saying don't.
He's not going to go broke, but that's money you'll never make up. It's one thing like, oh, I'm going to lose $2.5 million, not showing up to
camp.
You
might make that up by getting a bigger contract.
You actually sit out to week 8. You're getting north of $10, $12 million, and you won't be playing football games to set yourself up for next offseason. Look, I don't think either of us think he's sitting out to week 8, but damn, he's fine with playing the games on Twitter. He's fine with it.
I don't love it. I don't love that this keeps happening because then I have to start believing he means it.
Well,
that he's being for real.
I just can't imagine an all-pro player. Be honest, other than Le'Veon Bell, and he sat out for the whole season. Who sat out 8 weeks in the NFL season? I mean, seriously. Nobody does that.
I don't think so.
It doesn't happen.
If that's the case, then you have to really entertain the trade, you know?
Yeah.
Let somebody else
Nobody sits out 8 weeks, Cody.
Yeah.
Bell's it.
Typically.
I mean,
I don't think he's actually sitting at 8
no.
weeks. I don't like that he's sitting
I still don't think he's sitting out week 1 unless he shows up so late that he has to miss
contract
out.
tomorrow, and all these tweets are going to seem so silly at the time. I don't think that's going to happen either, but we'll see. At this point, are you below?
Do you think there's a question?
Are you below 50-50 yet on the extension?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You were hovering right there that it was a coin flip. I'm like 20% chance.
I'm still in the 40s because I'm if he doesn't my day is Monday or Tuesday next week. So like if he's not here Tuesday, then it really starts to dip. He's also the type of player, you're right, though. He could sign the deal, and someone will ask him, hey, we saw you. Were you really willing to sit out till week 8? And he's just going to start laughing.
Yeah.
And be like, no, are you kidding me? But he's playing the game right now. He's playing the game.
Next up on What's Trending, another training camp fight catching attention today because this one involved Colts rookie Anthony Richardson. Apparently got in a fight with Jalen Carter during a joint practice today. They got to stop doing these joint practices. They always lead to fights. I think it's because the chippiness of all of it, and you don't have the regular gameplay to get yourself off the field and cooler heads prevail. So you just constantly get in these little battles. I'm telling you, there were 2 fights. It was that, and Jason Kelsey got in a fight that ended their practice after the first one. So it's just a mess. I don't understand how these keep happening, but yet again, here we are. more training camp fights if you're looking for some footage. I would not try to fight Jason Kelsey, by the way.
No, not smart. Not
Or
smart.
Jalen Carter, who's a very... Oh, actually, all of these humans are giant. Get yourself out of these fights.
Next on What's Trending, we know coming up in about 20 minutes or so, the Royals expected to release the renderings for the 2 potential stadium sites. North KC, that's the Clay County site, and the downtown KC Mo site in Jackson County. So we'll finally at least have a look of truly what they envision each site could look like. They're not determining the site today. That's going to happen next month or so. But yeah, I'm excited, man. I'm excited.
The text line did say, is Gold's mouth watering in anticipation of these juicy, hot renderings?
I'm excited. I'm excited
I think
for it.
you're excited. I get it.
I like renderings anyway. We know this. And then this is involving downtown baseball and North KC baseball. And yeah, I'm fascinated to see what their vision is. We'll see what we actually learn in terms of economic benefit stuff today. That's been promised. We'll be curious to see and hear actually what's pointed out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited to see. I'm also curious. She's like, how much, are they just the site with the exterior of the stadium, or are we actually getting more like what the ballpark itself could look like? I'm guessing it's more site related than, we're going to see what the concourse looks like, or
I think
that
so.
kind of stuff.
I think it'll be the buildings around the site and the site itself. Lastly, on What's Trending, there was an update today in Major League Baseball on the Wander Franco investigation. He's been placed on a different exempt list through Major League Baseball, which will still pay him his full $2 million salary for this season as it sits right now. It is very similar to the list that Trevor Bauer found himself on a couple of years ago when he was under investigation. I got to be honest, I read the entire ESPN article that I think it's unlocked over at ESPN Plus from Jeff Passan about this exact situation. I don't think he's playing baseball this year. Currently, what's happening is the Dominican Republic has an age limit of 18 years old. He's under investigation after 2 accusations from 2 women whose age they're still trying to identify. One, which is a police investigation. One person who just made the accusations like in a public forum, and they're going to have to make the decisions. In the Dominican Republic, the interesting part about the article that we don't know how baseball handles, in the Dominican Republic, sadly, these underage incidents are often handled as like civil violations in civil court, with monetary damages being passed back and forth versus actual Dominican
Wouldn't
league.
prevent baseball, though, from acting.
It would not, and it hasn't prevented them before. Baseball, to this point, they follow this under the domestic violence policy. If he were to be suspended, baseball has suspended people anywhere between 15 and 360 games for a violation of the domestic violence policy, that longest one being Trevor Bauer from a couple of years ago. I have no idea how they're going to handle it. I could see an incredibly long, indefinite suspension for Wander Franco, depending on how these investigations go. Still very early in the process.
That's what's trending here on Cody and Gold. I want to talk more about the tweets from Chris Jones because let's play through a couple. Let's play through a couple scenarios. And I also don't think he's sitting out until week 8 either. But let's say his tweet's real. He doesn't get an extension, and it's 2 days away from week 1, and the Chiefs haven't heard anything, and he's not there. Okay, and it continues, and it's potentially a distraction. What happens if the Chiefs? Because I've told you that I don't believe they can win the Super Bowl without him, right? Now, returning week 8, he would be available. But what happens in terms of his value to other teams than the Chiefs? Let's say the Chiefs, and this is a possibility, they start off 6-2, 7-1 without Chris Jones. Defense looks good. Let's say they start off 4-0. It's Chris Jones.
I think that's a bit of a long shot.
I know. I'm just playing through a hypothetical.
Sure.
But let's say they're off to a 4-2 start, and like, you know what? If you're Chris Jones, you're sitting at home, and the team's winning games without you. How much? You know what I mean? Like, does the leverage go away? I don't think missing games this year, truly, I'll keep saying it, makes any sense for Chris Jones. I don't believe that you miss week 1 and then Clark Hunt's going to say, man, you got us now. You got us now. We beat the Lions on the opening night game. Man, you got us. I wasn't willing to go up another $5 million or whatever. Now, but now, man, now I'll do it. No, I don't think so. Not to mention he's losing out money every single week at a much bigger rate once we get to games.
So the history of the NFL, this is the problem, Christian. This is why I don't think you'll miss any games. The history of the NFL would suggest you end up doing more damage to yourself by holding out actual games and not. It did not work for Le'Veon Bell. It went poorly for Earl Thomas, if you want to go back a few years before that, and several others, because very few people actually sit out games. I don't think Chris Jones is going to miss games. I don't think he just throw out week 8 if he actually meant it. I think
not
he's
8 games. I mean, definitely not 8 games.
Well, he said week 8.
No, but I'm just saying, like, I don't think week 1, but like one game you could see where he gets the deal done, but it's so late in the game, Cody, where he barely can play for the game on Thursday. I could see that. But missing 8 games, not showing up until Halloween?
I don't think one is out of the question, but I just don't think in the end that this is what he's going to do. The problem that I told you that I guess is really interesting to me from this perspective is, and I don't know, maybe he doesn't care. Because in the end, it doesn't matter for his play on the field or what he's going to be paid. But God, everyone is turning on him. Yep. 2 months ago, everyone was on Chris Jones' side. We had people texting into the show being like, stop being cheap. Pay Chris Jones. He's the Patrick Mahomes of the defense. How could you? He said he wants to be a Chief for life. And now you even. And everyone in between is like, I haven't wavered.
My thing is
yet.
for missing. My issue is when you start missing games. I have no problem with how he's played it before that. And I told you, I would pay Chris Jones. I've told you that.
Oh,
so
yeah,
this
we've made that
so this falls on the Chiefs as well. I'm just saying, reminder, he is under contract this year. And this is unfortunately the name of the game. The league is set up to favor the team. That's how the CBA is constructed. Yes. It's done on purpose. The players agreed to it. So here we are. This is what typically happens when players execute the leverage that they have. My only issue, I've been consistent on this, is if he misses games, then the opinion will absolutely change because you are under contract. Missing camp, this is the
Especially
game you can play.
Lose against the Lions.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
He's curried a lot. He was probably the third most popular Chief for this last 5 years. And I don't think it's a close third, right? I don't think there was anybody who was fourth that was even in this conversation. The only reason he was third is because Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce exist. Not for any other reason outside of that. And I think that really is what kind of curries this.
I'm seeing some photos coming out from the presser that's about to begin in 15 minutes. It's not unless there's more to come. It's not even really. It's a rendering of the site, as in, like you said, a very aerial shot of like diagrams of what the sites would look like. There's nothing specific to like really the stadium. It's more of like
where a hotel would be.
Where this is where we would put a corporate office, and this is where we could put a retail store. But it's not really like a stadium rendering. It's renderings for the site.
Well, maybe that's just the one board. You don't know.
I don't know. I'm just saying that's just what I've seen so far.
I also saw this is like I don't remember what we were talking about the last time we were talking about like polling data. We were talking about something stadium wise or something else. Gold. You and I were going back and forth in the show. There's a new article out. It's like from the Fox 4, and I think it was like a Casey Business Journal. It was like most people in Clay County would not favor a tax, and they talked to 300 people, and you're like, all right, I mean, fine, I guess. I know that's how polling works, but man, do I have a hard time taking a poll of 300 people seriously sometimes. By the way, the same amount of those people said that they'd favor it being in their location, which means in the end, sure, they don't want to pay for it. The same thing we've talked about stadiums before, but they'll.
Yeah, so far the photos, again, they're going to officially announce everything in about 15 minutes. But so far the photos we're seeing from the setting of the press conference, which is coming up in the 2 o'clock hour today. It's just basically, right, Object 1, stadium. Object 2 will be, like the corporate office. And 3 is the hotel. And 4 is where we could have a conference center. And 5 could be where there's apartments. It's more like that. Like it's more of a plotting of items more than like, hey, this is what the stadium could look like. So just a heads up on that. So you were saying, am I excited for renderings? Not these kind of renderings.
Again, maybe this is just the board. Maybe there's other coming.
Okay, hopefully.
Relax,
okay,
man. Relax.
But you see what I'm saying?
And maybe you're taking over like 700 square blocks in North Kansas City. Damn.
Well, it's a whole village.
Well, and it's flat, right? It's not. They're not going up like the downtown one. I'm just saying that's a lot of damn property.
Mm-hmm.
This is like 12 minutes from my house, which would be dope. That part would be great. The physical proximity for me would be fantastic. I'd be a big fan of that. But yeah.
We'll have to wait till tomorrow on the show to talk about this more. But just like you said, it's just the poster board.
Are you wavering on your excitement over the renderings now? Because you think this is going to be it?
If that's those are the only 2 things that are coming out, and it's not like those are renderings, but I want some 3D renderings of the stadium, not just like here's box 6. This could be a hotel.
You want
box
like
7 could be a
Kansas,
restaurant.
This like little video thing.
A stadium rendering. I guess in fairness, they said we'll release renderings for these site plans, and that's what this is. These are site plans.
I still think
stadium.
It's probably different than the piece of cardboard they put up in this meeting versus the ones they'll release on social media.
We'll find out in about 15 minutes.
Are you staying late at work just to look at these things?
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to look
because they're going to come out right at 2. I'm not going to be driving. Dangerous. And Missouri starting.
I'm not going to look
next
at
week.
my phone
starting
while
next
I'm driving.
week.
Just look at it when I get home.
Starting next week in Missouri, you can't even hold your phone in a car. You see that? That gets enacted. It's one of the last states to finally have a texting and driving law or whatever. But
Seems fair.
I know, and I'm just saying. But yeah, next week you can't even have
a good law.
Well, Kansas already has a lot of it. But yeah, Missouri, it's just you're the one that lives in Missouri, man.
I got pulled over in Kansas.
No more
once for
putting
it,
that
10
phone in
years
your
ago.
hand. No more tweeting while you're driving.
I got pulled over in Kansas like 10 years ago for driving. And I was trying to pull up like a direction somewhere, which I think in Missouri you can like actively use something is in like directions as long as your phone's down, not up. So I guess pull up those directions before.
There you go.
Okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry
Well,
if this
hopefully
is
there's more to come,
squashed
like you
some
said.
of your initial
But
excitement.
you get why this is different than what we were talking about.
Sure.
It's a little bit. It's not as exciting just seeing like, hey, this is diagram 8, and this could be this. Because it's not like, oh, here's a rendering of what this hotel could look like. It's like, hey, number 8, this would be a rectangle where a hotel could be. It's not as exciting. That's all.
What is your with back to the Chris Jones tweets for just a second.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's just let's both agree that it's a 50-50 just for the sake of the argument. Let's agree that there's a 50-50 chance the Chiefs repeat as Super Bowl champions because they're great, and let's just give them a higher percentage than probably any betting market odds would.
Huh?
Betting markets will tell you it's what a 25% chance. Right there, like 4 to 1 or something like that. So
yeah,
25. Okay, fine. 25% chance they win the Super Bowl. Yeah. What is the chance they win the Super Bowl if Chris Jones isn't on the team?
Well, I told you. Yeah, you're giving me again.
You think it's fully zero? Because I don't think it's zero. I think
it's not actually zero, but I don't think they can win the Super Bowl without Chris Jones. No, I mean, I
But you
don't.
think it's zero? I know that like technically the odds aren't, but you're saying you think it's a 0% chance. Do it. Nah, I still think it's higher than that. I mean, Chris Jones is an incredibly important player, and I've said the same thing.
And Noah Mannion for 6 weeks. Yeah, I mean,
I think it's like 5 or 10%. I mean, I think that their chances go way down. I'm not trying to devalue Chris Jones. I can't get past the Patrick Mahomes factor percentage of any of this. And I do think that they're deeper on defense than they were last year, and maybe
I don't know how to get to the quarterback.
Yeah, it'd be a problem. It would be a significant problem.
And that's the leverage Chris Jones has because I think the Chiefs realize that to a certain extent as well. But I just missing games is a whole different ballgame. For I've seen a lot of people say, "Well, nobody thought you guys didn't think he was going to miss camp." You're right. I didn't think he was missing all camp. We didn't. I think we can all recognize both fines and what the game checks are and everything is much different than missing a 100-degree practice in St. Joe, Missouri on August 10th. It's different than missing the season opener against the Lions, missing the Chiefs-Jets game on Sunday night in New York. You know what I mean? It's a little bit different.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying it's not. It is a massive difference, but that's why I wouldn't rule it out now. Do I actually think he's going to miss week 1? Not yet. Mm-hmm. Would I rule it out? No, because I shouldn't have ruled out the fact that he was going to miss literally every single day of training camp. When he missed the first day, we're like, so what? He's going to pay his $50,000 for a couple of days, and then he's going to show up. And then he didn't show up, and now he's sending out tweets he's going to be week 8 and all this other stuff going in there. You're really trying to – honestly, the photos you're seeing online, they're not great, man. Like, I appreciate it, but you got to really
if you look, each one's a different – I will say the ballpark in both sides is different shaped. I will say that. It's a different shape in the downtown. Like, again, it's not a full-on close-up and detailed one. Is that a fountain in right field, Cody? So you can't even tell. It's too far away.
Yeah, those are not going to be the best images for you. I'm going to see if I can get one of those poster boards for the Cody and Gold garage sale.
I want one.
The poster board of the fake site? You just said it wasn't cool.
Not the fake site. No, but I want one for the garage sale.
I think it'd be fun. It'd be like, here's the one that the piece of poster board. They're not going to hold on to it forever. It's a piece of poster board.
Uh-huh.
I'm going to text our friend Sam Mellinger over at the Royals and see if
we'll see what else comes out.
I'm just gonna be like, hey, look, if you're thinking you're not gonna hold on to those poster boards, love to have them to raise some money for the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Here's why I know that they're not gonna probably do detailed stuff is if they were really unveiling like actually what the stadium was gonna look like, that stuff would be covered up before the presser even starts. They have that thing wide open because there's not much to see.
Yeah.
Don't you agree? Like, if they were really unveiling, like, this is what the stadium could look like.
I think really what you're getting a look at is how much more spread out, kind of like Wrigleyville versus the compact nature of it, and it in its direct locations related to other portions of the city.
We'll talk about this tomorrow, 10 to 2. We'll be back at it. Actually, 10 to 1:30. The Royals have a game tomorrow. So 10 to 1:30. 10 to 1:30 tomorrow. We will certainly, I'm sure, start the show talking about the two sites that are going to be unveiled, at least the plotting of land, really, and how they're planning on putting the residential versus commercial along with the stadium itself. Again, that's coming up in the 2 o'clock hour. We're going to hand things off to CDOT and Rob right here on 610 Sports Radio.